and welcome everybody to the Tuesday show. My name is James Chen, and I am joined by Ultra David and Tubaware. How's everybody going out there?
Oh, I'm good. I don't know. How about you, Tubaware?
Well, let me tell you, I am pretty okay.
Great.
Yep.
Excellent news, everybody. What a great start to the show. Here's what we're going to be talking about. We actually pretty full game news day today. It feels rare in these times, but there is a lot to talk about, and you can see a bunch of it on the side. We'll be talking about Sora in Smash. We'll be talking about our reactions to both Melty Blood and also Nick Brawl, which we've had a chance to play at this point. We have an interview with Majin Obama that we're looking forward to. We got a fun 5-5 matchup. We're going to be talking about our thoughts on King of Fighters 15 footage. There was a lot of it. We'll go over that. We'll talk about Twitch. Hey, they're experimenting with some stuff.
Oh, wait,
Cool.
hang on a second.
Oh man, I think we all have thoughts on that. Wait, what happened, James?
People are saying that they're hearing an echo, and I'm wondering if it's my microphone picking up on stuff. Let me turn off the microphone real quick to turn off my speakers. Try now.
Hey, and I'm back to talking. I'm not in a new location. This has been my apartment for the last few months. Although, if you haven't watched in a while, I guess maybe I'm in a new location. We're going to be talking about results for ECT and CPT, upcoming stuff, yada, yada. But yeah, let's start by talking about game stuff. The thing that happened today is that Sora was announced in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. How about that? So this was the last of the updates that Sakurai does for each DLC character. He comes out and he's like, here's what the character does. Here's backstory to the character and the game series oftentimes. Talked about that a little bit. He talks about whether they have new stuff for the Mii fighters. This whole shindig that he does. This was the last one for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And, I feel like it was pretty clear, like he was at the same time kind of stoked about that, but also, he's had so much of himself bound up with this.
Hang on a second. What is going on, dude? This siren
James is being attacked by a fire. It sounds like
super loud.
Is that the roar of a fire? It's the sound of a siren when a fire comes after you and attacks you. Is that what it does, David?
I guess.
I think that's right. I don't know. Have you ever been in a fire? I don't know.
I haven't been in one. No, I'd be dead.
That's what I thought.
Probably.
That's what I'm glad you're not. Anyway, so last one, and yeah, like I said, he seems both happy about it, but also sad about it, which makes sense. I feel the same kind of way. And in it, announced that Sora finally is coming to Smash. This is a character that he mentioned that even back years ago when they had a poll, which character did you want to see in Smash? Sora won that poll years ago, and obviously they weren't able to do it at that time. But now is the final DLC character, finally, from Kingdom Hearts, Sora.
Yeah, I mean, Look, I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games. I tried playing Kingdom Hearts 1. I didn't like it, as like the start of it was rough, and I was getting into it later, and so I just didn't bother following through on there. I've never really had any, nostalgia or history for Kingdom Hearts. Having said all that, though, I'm really happy that it's Sora. I feel like he's a good final character, and I feel like a lot of people are actually really happy about it. And, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later. This is probably something you're more apt to talk about, David, but I'm surprised they managed to get him in there with Mickey logo on the sword and all, So that was a shock to me.
I saw a meme that said, there was a screenshot of like the Mickey keychain. He was like, Nintendo paid more for this keychain than they did for the actual character Sora, and I wouldn't even be surprised if that was actually true.
Oh, what do you think about Sora being in the game?
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think it holds true when I said nobody was going to be mad about the final character. I have yet to see anybody on my Twitter feed pissed off that Sora is in the game. No one's mad about it. Even Kingdom Hearts haters are like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, that's like the worst I've seen is, makes sense. Like, I think I nailed it. I haven't seen that many angry people, but then again, I don't go on like video game message boards. I don't go on like subreddits of Smash or anything like that. So maybe people are complaining somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my subjective experience, I haven't seen that many people angry, if anyone angry at all. I think he's a great addition, and he looks super cool. He looks really, really cool. He's animated amazingly. He looks like what I would imagine a strong character in Smash is, which you gotta be. You can't put your last character ever out and make him be trash, right? So, yeah, I think it's really, really great. I'm very happy for Kingdom Hearts fans and Smash players. That's dope.
Look, I'm happy about it too. I think it's cool, and I'm also in the crew that doesn't have tremendous experience with Kingdom Hearts. I did play the first one, and I liked it, but I've played however many games. I don't feel like I have a particular like attachment to Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, I think that's great. It's certainly a fitting choice. If your idea is to have the museum of video games, right, in Smash, this is an excellent choice. And honestly, and thinking about like which like really major video game franchises that have been major maybe for like 20 years or more, whatever, something like that, are not in there. Not that many at this point. Really, just, I don't know, a small handful, because you have to think as well that some of them are not in the main like cast, like Sora, but Doom Guy, the Doom Slayer, is a Mii costume, right?
I really wanted him to be the last character. I knew that he wouldn't be. I knew there was no way Doom Slayer was going to be, with shotguns and chainsaws, was going to be a playable character in Smash. I knew that he would.
Yeah. He's like chainsawing enemies to get more bullets. It would be so sick. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But I'm glad it's like in the game, Like,
well, yeah, 100%.
I don't think Doom Guy would have fit. Like, I don't know.
No, it's impossible.
I mean, there's no way. Yeah,
it's the same thing as like one of the other franchises that's not in there is like Mortal Kombat, but you get it. Like that's why that's not in there.
Right.
Other than ones that just honestly don't fit, not that many. They did a fantastic job. 89 characters. So I wrote down these stats from the Sora release video that I thought were really interesting. They went over them at the end. So total fighters 89, stages 116.
That's counting Pyrrha and Mithras, two different characters, right?
And counting the Pokemon.
Sure there is a little.
And the Pokemon trainer monsters, three different characters. Yes.
Okay. Stages 116, 340, including if you count Battlefield and Omega Forms, right? In each case, like they had to do some work to make that happen. So,
for sure.
Mii fighter costumes 140, items 201. Songs
that never get used.
Over 1,100.
That's ridiculous.
Over 1,100 songs.
I think in our Discord we were talking about how there's incredible amounts of music on that game, like just yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Amount, no doubt about it.
Wow.
Over 450 games represented. I'm assuming that means that like each series that the characters are from.
And also the spirits and all that stuff,
Definitely, spirits, costumes, all that stuff. That's right, yeah. But like Mario is from not just one game, right? He's from whatever number of games. So I'm sure they're counting all that stuff. Characters in total, over 2,200 from different games represented in there. An incredible number. And then I actually thought that these were some of the most interesting stats in there. So match totals, offline battles, over 11.7 billion throughout Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's life. 11.7 billion. Online battles, over 7.8 billion. If you were to look at most major fighting games, not even just major, I feel like that's flipped around, or maybe even more skewed in favor of online play. But in this game, like my read on this was like, not just, wow, so many matches have been played. This game is so popular. Lots of people are playing it, which is, I think, what they're trying to get across. It's also, there's that many more people who will only play this game offline than play it online, right? Like, in the age of online, in COVID times, people are still not playing this game online that much because the online is garbage.
Yeah, probably.
I thought that was my read on it.
I hadn't even thought about that, because like I hadn't even thought about the fact that more fighting games probably have online matches than offline matches. It didn't even strike me as odd, because I guess I had just assumed that would be the case for Smash Brothers, because it is such a local offline party-ish kind of game, you know. So.
It is, but this is COVID times and it's still like that. I don't know. Anyway, not a big deal. Mostly very celebratory and super cool. Yeah, I mean, look, again, as far as Sora goes, I think I'm happy about that. He's not the character I specifically wanted, but obviously he fits really well, and I'm happy for everybody who did really want him. It's a great fit for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I agree with you. In going through what the character does, Sakurai is in all of his presentations was so good at explaining what the characters do and then actually taking them into a match versus the CPU and being like, all right, I really hope that like X or Y happens. And it happened every time. Every time. And I don't think, at least he's not treating it like that they would redo it if it didn't happen. Right. Like, I think he's just like,
because he's lost some of the presentation fights.
He has lost some of them. Yeah, I don't think that they redo it, but he's still great at like showing off what the character does. And Sora looks good. Like a lot of obviously great air mobility, which is super important, and looks like he has the ability to kill and set up combos and all that sort of stuff. So great recovery. Yeah, lots of tools that seem effective.
I mean, another sword dude with down B counter, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Again, it's just I'm still baffled that they even got the Mickey Mouse logo in there. Like that to me, like was the biggest deal out of the whole entire thing. I was just because you knew there wasn't gonna be any because I was like, is Goofy and Donald gonna show up in Smash at all? Like even in a final Smash, but. They weren't anywhere, but you know, I was like, okay, I'm not surprised. But then all of a sudden, you know, there's this. They did have the Mickey head, and to me, like I said, like Chuba was saying with the joke, it's like probably cost them more for that than anything else. So,
yeah,
but,
I mean,
no, I was just gonna say, dude, but I mean. I said this on Twitter, but Sakurai is like, he's absolutely adorable. And like the way he was doing the presentation and the finality of it, the fact that he showed off all the moves on 100% of the other characters in the game.
Yeah.
You know, and just the way that he was. And I love the fact that he's just going off the cuff and making his own studio laugh and stuff like that. It's just, he is the guy that you want to be developing this kind of game. You know what I mean? Like this game won't exist without him, basically.
I mean, he talked about how much work it took, you know, how many years of development this game has been through at this point. It seemed to me that he implied that it had been going on for 3 years before the game even came out, and now it's been out for 3+ years, so it's, you know, a long time to be working on the same game project. And yeah, like I said, I mean, he seemed happy that it was ending, but he also seemed sad, which I think makes total sense that you would feel that way. I mean, obviously, great guy. Like what my favorite thing about him and sort of his design is that he's the guy who went from having the negative reaction of competitive play to melee and putting in tripping and so forth in Brawl to the point now where like they're intentionally designing it to be competitive. They put in specific stages with that idea. Obviously, there's other considerations that they still have naturally, right? But they're obviously thinking about the competitive side of things. And like he talks sometimes about like the frame data and again, like things that he knew, but like that publicly was not the kind of idea that they wanted to be bringing across. And he has had that kind of evolution to now caring about that and wanting to make sure that the competitive side of playership goes well. It's cool.
It is cool. It's like watching character development live in real life.
Yeah,
you know?
It kind of is. Yeah.
His character arc has come to fruition now. It's over.
As far as the legal stuff goes, I mean, there's not a lot to say because we just don't know that much, but yeah, historically and even still, Disney is very litigious and they guard their rights very, very jealously. They do not easily allow other people to use their rights. Famously, they sued a sort of preschool or a daycare or something that used their art on the wall or their characters on the wall. You know, that's been the company for a very long time. I did get questions on Twitter as to whether there's any like legal reason for their characters to not be in this game. There's no legal reason for that. It's just a business decision. They certainly legally could do that if they'd like to. That's how every other game character is in Smash, right? That's the same thing.
It just probably would have cost them $1 bajillion just to do it,
Yeah, I mean, either would have cost them a lot or it just wasn't on the table, which seems equally as likely to me. So, yeah, as an attorney who has worked on rights clearance and stuff like that, sometimes for video game development, it's an interesting process to me, and I would love to know how that was. I definitely won't find out, but I would be very curious to know, of course.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Objectively, not subjectively, objectively now, is there, like, if you had the choice to throw in one more character in the game with the idea of representing game history, that kind of stuff, who would you put in there? Do you have what's that?
Doomslayer's in. You gotta treat Doomslayer like he's in, because there's a couple of Virtua Fighter characters who are also in as Mii's. There's again, what I say, 140 Mii's
as well,
was a lot,
right? So, I mean, I'm also would be curious from everybody watching this on YouTube as well to put in the comments as well who you guys feel like. A lot of people are saying Crash Bandicoot, Lara Croft, Dante,
Rayman. I think there's a good number of pretty clear ones. I think the best choice.
Dante doesn't work. He's a Mii outfit. Like Doom. We said that doesn't count.
There you go.
Yeah, so you guys can keep your Dantes in the chat, okay?
Look, Mortal Kombat is the game franchise that I feel like is most left out. But again, like it's not gonna happen. It just doesn't fit. So yeah, Scorpion or Sub-Zero, of course, but it's not the right thing.
Like, for me, I've always felt like one of the strangest characters that was missing from the entire franchise. And I don't know if he has a Mii costume or even an assist trophy. Maybe he does, and I just don't remember. But Bomberman. Like, I feel like Bomberman...
Oh, he's definitely an assist.
Bomberman's he's in the game.
He is in the game somehow?
Oh, there's definitely Bomberman comment. Yeah,
there's Bomberman.
I think there was Bomberman content in the game in previous iterations too. I don't think this is the first time.
Okay, so he is an assist trophy. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I always felt like that was an odd choice to turn him into an assist trophy, because I really do feel like it's him or like Master Higgins or Mr. Higgins or whatever the Super Adventure Island guy is called. Like.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh okay.
Because he had
maybe
been a pretty
like Chrono from Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger.
From Chrono Cross. Yeah, that's the
from Chrono Trigger. Sorry.
Look, there's several other games that I think could be fine, but as an ending point, I think Sora is a great choice.
And in that trailer, treating it like the last one with the handshake and everybody watching in the background. It wasn't all crazy like some weird goofy comic action-y thing. It was just, here's the character, X-Men versus Street Fighter style handshake, the end, and
cool.
It was really nice.
Oh, Manny from Grim Fandango. What a reference. That would be great. Yeah, Waluigi didn't happen. Like, there's definitely characters that people wanted to see who didn't make it in. But
yeah, Waluigi.
So it is. There's only so much time and money. All right. You want to move on to the next?
Sure.
Let's move it.
Okay, cool. So Melty Blood Type Lumina is out now. It came out just a couple of days after our last show. And people have been playing it for the last, most of a week at this point. Have you guys had a chance to play? And if so, what are your impressions?
I'll make mine quick. Nope, not playing Melty Blood. Don't have time. That's it.
I appreciate the honesty, dude.
Yeah, man, this is real life. I don't have enough time. I stream 4 days a week, and I want to play stuff on my own. It's not fighting games all the time.
I hear you.
As well as, live life. I have things to do. I'm an adult, damn it.
I haven't had a chance to play against other people, but I went, because I don't know anything about Melty Blood, right? So I went through the entire tutorial, and I went through almost all of the mission modes. I've only missed out on 3 characters with the mission modes, just to see if I could find a character that I liked and such. But I mean, I can feel so many of the similarities between this and Under Night and Birth. It's just like Under Night and Birth is the ground version and Melty Blood is like the air version. But like so many of the concepts are the same, like veil off and shielding, and even the air dashes feel just more like assaults than they actually feel like actual air dashes. Obviously depends on the characters because different characters have different arcs, but like the standard characters all have that kind of assaultish jump and stuff. And just trying to find the combos that using all the different buttons, and you can only use one. And obviously a few subtle changes, like the Uni series had a single OTG in a combo for every character. This one, the OTGs don't really work that way, etc., etc. But just from messing with it and testing it and playing around with it, like, it feels very fluid. I do hate the auto combos. I'm going to say that much.
Okay.
Really, really, really hate the fact that they put auto combos on every button. Like, it makes sense for Grand Blue, but for this game, it is not a good idea. But outside of that, just from, like I said, I haven't played against people, but just doing the combos and everything like that, it feels really smooth. Like, the control feels really good when I'm moving the characters around.
What do you not like about the auto combos?
I've heard this complaint.
A lot
Not
of the
from James, but other people.
For me, it's just because a lot of the times I just try to do the combos regular, but I double tap things a lot. And so when I double tap it, it triggers the auto combo instead of me being able to control what I want to do sometimes. And so it's just really weird to have thrown it on every button, because there's also the chain combos can be really fast in this game. And so you're hitting the buttons really fast. And sometimes I just end up getting moves that I didn't want to, I would like it. So the system is, if you used up all the standing medium buttons, if I hit heavy, like, it tries to auto chain into the light and then into the one auto double only move, and it's just, I don't know, it's very annoying. That's all.
Okay. I've played it both in training mode and also against people at this point. I'm like you, I don't have any experience with the Melty series. I played it literally maybe once or twice. I don't know, like, almost not at all. So I don't even know, like, what was in the previous version of the game and what's not at this point, compared to Type Lumina. But what I have seen, I really like. It seems like a really fun game. I like the movement. I think that's very interesting. I like all the like little subsystems. I think are pretty cool. There's quite a lot going on in there, and I think some of them are like really interestingly designed. I'll talk more about specifics in a little bit, but just as a general category, I think that's true. And then there are characters who I think are pretty cool. I don't know that any of them is like a exact one-to-one fit for what I'm looking for. Like, I wouldn't say like there's not like the slow grappler archetype in a way that like I would like to max that out. Koma's probably like the closest to that, but he's slower than many, and he's got command grabs, but like the damage doesn't really come from command grabs still, you know what I mean? Like, he does more damage when he finds hits. So but yeah, I mean, that's certainly closer to what I would want. So for me, Vlav is probably the guy who I'm gonna spend most time with. Just, zoning out a little bit, finding a combo, knocking him far away again, or trying for Oki, that kind of stuff. And then going back to trying to control the space with bigger buttons and my, taller body, and throwing hands or whatever the fireballs are, throwing ice. So I like him. I think that he's pretty cool. Again, I don't have experience historically to even know like who was in the game before. Right. Some of them some of them I do know. I'm not at zero knowledge, but like not very much. So yeah, just as a general overview, I like a lot of it. One thing that I think is cool. Oh, to talk about the auto combos. I have not run into what other people have talked about with respect to them in terms of causing problems. Like you, I've talked with other people or seen other people posting online that like, when you kind of get into a scrambly situation, you might end up pressing like a button a couple of times and like, right. Oh no, now you have your auto combo normals instead. Just hasn't happened to me yet. Maybe it will, but that hasn't yet been a problem for me.
I mean, it might also be because Vlav's buttons are slower. So when I'm doing his combos and trials, like his buttons are distinctively slower, so much to the point that people fall out of air combos at higher hit stun deterioration, easier than other characters. So he might not be as much of a rapid button pressing kind of character.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's probably fair enough.
Right.
As far as I think another interesting thing to talk about is that one of the reactions that I've seen many people say, although this may be a little bit blown out of proportion, but I have seen nevertheless, is that shielding is too strong and that defense is too strong.
Oh, just about to ask you guys about that.
Yeah, and it
we'll talk about
results
that,
in the rock, paper, scissors, the RPS that everyone is saying is really bad.
Right. So I'm not going to go into the full details of it. I'm sure you can look it up for yourself. But as a general idea, this is a shield that you put out. You just press the normal, just press D. You have the standing version or the crouching version. You're kind of locked into one or the other for a little bit. When you do it, if you shield in normal, you can then cancel into basically launch, Dragon Ball Fighters Vanish, or an invincible move. And the opponent can be canceling into other things as well in many of these cases. So you have a situation where like you absorb somebody's normal, you shield their normal, then you are going to cancel into, say, launch. Well, then they're like, nah, I shield you. And then they do their invincible thing or their Dragon Ball Fighters Vanish. But you, of course, yourself can counteract that by picking the other options that would beat those. So there's a lot of like decisions about where to go. And it's not like it's a true 50 or 33, 33, 33, because there are weighted options. Like if you land the Vanish, whatever, like it's just a hit. If you land the launch, you get damage out of it. Like you would rather do that.
Well, if you land the Vanish on a shielded person, it actually ground bounces them, and you do get a combo off of that. So you get a...
Dang, I've been playing this game, and I actually don't think I do that. Sick.
Yeah, if you actually shield and then count and then like teleport and they shield and you hit them out of the shield from behind, it actually counter hits them and bounces them up. So if you do it...
Okay. On the invincible option, do you get anything? Probably not.
On the invincible option, you get nothing. Get nothing.
So there's still a weighted action going on here. That's
yeah, for sure. And I mean, people have also said that you can delay the A launcher, the A or C launcher, and hit the Vanish, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different options in there. And I mean, you see in Uni at the highest levels, people are doing things like jumping and baiting shields, because once you start the shield, you can't change the crouching. You know what I mean? The only problem is in Uni, when you busted a shield by hitting it in the opposite direction or through it, it broke their grid and they couldn't even build grid anymore and stuff like that. The punishment, I feel like, isn't as severe in Melty Blood for baiting it out, but I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if someone ends up baiting out a shield and killing someone completely just, through momentum and stuff, so...
I like it too because it elevates the importance of grabs. Yay, that's cool for me, right? Like grab is the solution to shield that just can't be shielded, so I'm definitely down with that. As far as the like larger decision, is defense too good? It's just, I think it's just dependent on what you prefer. It's cool for me. I think it's nice, but I of course also like games where offense is really good. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter V for years at this point. They don't give you defensive options for the most part, right? I like Strive a lot. There's not a lot going on there for defensive options either. You got to be really precise with the few that you do have. And yet, I also like games where there's a lot of defensive options. MK11, you can do a billion things on defense. I think it's cool. I like that. And this game in Melty, you definitely have options too. Characters have invul or armored options as well as shield. So yeah, I mean, it's just what you may prefer, I think, is really what it comes down to. And I have not seen too much of like any one person who I saw say Street Fighter V has no defense, bad game, and Guilty Gear Strive has no defense, bad game, and also Melty has too much defense, bad game. Like those, as far as what I've seen, there haven't like been the same person. But it kind of feels like that if you are just kind of on Twitter or wherever, because you're hearing in one case offense too good, in another case defense too good, and you kind of like want to conflate these two. But there's probably people who feel those kind of opposing ways, but I just haven't seen that much of it.
Dude, I mean, at this point in time, you just have to realize that whatever the game is stronger at, everyone will complain about it, right? I mean, it's funny because like even the RPS argument makes absolutely no sense to me, because what is one of the most lauded and prided features of Virtua Fighter. It's the RPS in that game. Literally attacks cannot be thrown. So throws beat block, block beats attack, attack beats throws. Like that game, I've always been heard, like, it's great because every situation is an RPS. It's about reading the opponent and da-da-da-da.
Right.
And that's where Street Fighter V is why a lot of the top players of Street Fighter V really love Street Fighter V now, because that RPS is kind of very Virtua Fighter-like in there. And so a lot of people are complaining about this RPS, but I think it's part of video fighting games, frankly. So,
I'd go a whole step further and say that fighting games can't be defined by RPS. I don't think it's possible. I don't, even if you say, like, okay, you get knocked down and your opponent can do strike, throw, or throw bait, right? And your options are block, backdash, or jump. That's just for example.
Right.
That isn't true. That isn't true, because they can walk up and fake the throw, a neutral jump, and then bop you in the head. Or they can walk up, fake the meaty, and then throw you. Like, there's so many delays and variations in timing that it's not RPS, because you can pick the right decision, and then half a second later, your opponent fakes out what they have done, and they do something else to you, and now your decision isn't correct anymore. And it wasn't that you didn't pick the right thing, you picked the right thing, and you still lost. Like, that can happen in fighting games. That doesn't happen in rock paper scissors. You pick the right thing, you win. At worst, you tie, right? That's not always the case in fighting games. Sometimes you're completely right and you lose, and sometimes you're way wrong and you win. Like, and that's just not how rock paper scissors works.
Yeah, and in fighting games, there are almost always weights, like we were just talking about. Like, there's the option that doesn't really lead to as much. There's the option that's a little riskier, right? Like that. It's always the case. I can think of a couple examples maybe, but it's super, super rare that even as character options that a mix-up will be weighted equally one way or the other.
Right,
it's almost never the case that, like, the low and the overhead both deal as much damage, or that the throw deals as much damage. Occasionally, right? It's not 0 times, but, like, that's very rare. So yeah, it's not really the same. Again, I'm cool with it. So far, I'm enjoying the game. I've watched it a bit too, and it seems fun. I continue to think that it is the Injustice anime, or maybe that Injustice is the anime version of, or is the non-anime version of Melty, because it's obviously Melty came first.
Injustice is anime. You heard it here first. Take that NRS scene.
Again, like, what I mean is that the game seems really fun and the movement's actually good, but man, it does its best to hide its cool stuff in my view, because the graphics are just dark. Oh, let's fight in front of a nondescript building. Nothing's happening back there. That's
why it's a good place to fight. Come on.
Maybe so. Maybe you shouldn't be fighting in big crowds, like in games where there's visually interesting things going on. Exactly. The music, I think I undervalued a little bit. Some of the stages, I will say, pretty cool music. Other stages, I think, are basically Injustice level music as well. So to me, like, I think this is a really good. Even, like, when the characters do things, their faces show up on screen. I know that, of course, comes from before Injustice with Melty, but that same kind of idea, like, Super starts, this big zoom in on the Injustice character, and then they have, like, a facial expression, and then they do that thing. There's, in my mind, so many similarities. But I love Injustice. It's not me ragging on the game, and I could see myself really enjoying Melty for its gameplay as well.
I don't see it. I guess I don't see it, because I mean, yeah, it's
like every character has, like, their blue outfit, and then you can, you go to your character specific colors to change that up. But again, same thing in Injustice, where all the outfits are, like, default, like, dark color, and then you can be like, I want a yellow guy.
I don't think you can compare the music, and I don't know if you can compare the graphics either. I don't know.
I understand where he's coming from.
I mean, I think the graphics in Injustice are way better.
Dave was trying to find a really nice way to say, I think it feels dull.
It's dull. It's audiovisually, to me, it's very dull. But again, same feeling for Injustice, and yet Injustice 2 is one of my favorite fighting games. So it's not a disqualifier from being a game that I enjoy. I'll plan to keep playing Melty. I don't know that I'm going to play it forever. I might. It might be a situation where, like, Under Night comes out, and all of a sudden I didn't expect to, but I love Under Night, and I play Unio for an entire year or whatever it was. Could be. I'm going to absolutely leave that possibility open because I like it so far.
Yeah,
all right.
I still don't see it. But
all right.
Moving on.
I can't.
All right, here's another game that came out. It's Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. We've talked a lot about this game in terms of the characters that are being announced for it. We talked about breakdown videos for it. It's now out. Just came out officially today.
That's right. We didn't even get a chance to talk about all the netcode issues for Melty Blood, right? A lot of people are having trouble on the PC version and stuff like that. Yeah,
there are some
That's
issues
true.
there.
Yeah.
Probably should have done that. Anyway, yeah, acknowledged. It's true.
Yep.
Okay.
They had a patch, and personally, I haven't had problems since then. But I understand
They had a patch already.
There was a Melty patch, yeah.
Oh dang! I didn't
on
even
PC.
know.
I don't know about on other
Okay,
systems.
Okay.
Working fine on console. On PS4, it's zooming.
Is that your experience?
No, that's true. That's the issue.
Okay.
PC's problem.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yes. Let's talk about Nick. The game's out. Have you had a chance to play it? And if so, what are your impressions?
You literally know that I had a chance to play because you played it with me all last night. Yeah,
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, man. I've had a chance to play it.
Help the guy out.
I played it for like 3 hours last night with my good buddy David and my good buddy Adam, live on twitch.tv 2 more. Actually, big ups to the devs. They gave us early access codes.
Yeah.
So we got to play last night. I think the game is fun. I had a lot of fun playing with you guys. The netcode is pretty good, minus some problems we can talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
I do have plenty of issues with the game as well, but at like the very base of it, it was fun. It was definitely a fun time last night.
I agree with that. Yeah, we definitely did have a fun time. And part of playing a fighting game with your friends is like it's fun to talk with your friends on Discord while playing a game. It's like that was fun in any game that I've played with any of my friends doing that. I'm having a good time, even if I think the game sucks.
Fall Guys.
Okay, maybe not.
What I enjoyed about but actually same thing. I think that game is trash garbage. But did I enjoy having my friends on the mic and like talking about how much we think the game is bad? Yeah, pretty fun actually. That side of the game, I enjoyed. I will never. Boy, what a bad video game! Wow. Geez.
That game was not only a bad game, but it was also a smash hit. You're forgetting about that part.
Oh, super popular pile of garbage. Nick, I enjoyed playing, but I don't think it's a hot pile of garbage. Yay, improvement. I think that there are some things that I would say as well about the game. We'll talk about that in more detail, shortly. But as far as overarching, I liked the character options, I think maybe more than I expected. Like I saw what the character breakdown videos were, and yet when I actually got a chance to play them, in many of the cases, they actually have more interesting things than were shown in the character breakdowns.
For sure.
Right? Like that was your experience as well?
I kind of wish they would have... I understand why the videos are short and concise and to the point.
Yeah.
But I wish they would have gone more in depth on what the characters are capable of and like maybe even just basic strategy with them. They really didn't go over that. And I came into the game thinking, man, everybody's the same kind of. Everybody's kind of just whatever. That's not true at all. The characters are everybody that we played is pretty unique. And it seemed like their general game plan is going to be quite different from each other. So that was pretty cool to see actually in work rather than just through, like the presentation videos.
I agree, and there are clear archetypes and clear interesting options. I played most with Invader Zim and with Lucy Loud, two of my favorite Nicktoons, as you guys both know. I'm a long-time big fan of those two.
I could do
What's your favorite Loud House episode?
Oh, yeah, it's the one where Lucy gets the basketball off of the top of the house, which they had kicked up there. It's
classic Lucy.
It's just she's always doing stuff like that,
Dude, I can actually make myself look like Lucy Loud right now if I really wanted to.
You probably could,
hair.
Oh, I
definitely did it last night. I was like, oh my god, I look like Lucy Loud. So
she's interesting because she's a stance character, and when you bite the opponent, you do cooler or different stuff, maybe is what I should say. And so she has like good normals and stuff, and she's got good movement. And then you bite them, and now you have a super fast, invincible throughout most of its run attack that results in her opening a door. And that door does crazy damage and knockback. And I was destroying people with that, which was it's probably unsafe. We're not good enough to even have known. I'm sure it's unsafe.
We're all.
But like, you can react to things and do that. So she's got these stances. That's really cool. Invader Zim has a little dude he puts out, basically mini Faust, I guess. Well, he has a gnome that you put out and it just stands there. But then he also has a little dude he puts out that will then walk across the stage and you can give him commands. So you can command him to jump. You can command him to stop. If you hit him, he'll turn around and go back the other direction. And you hit him again, and he'll turn the other direction. You can pick him up. Anybody can pick him up and throw him as well. You got all these options. So, you have Gnome. David the Gnome is out there. You have your kind of rangy normals. And then you also have your little dude who you can... If the opponent wants to stay under David the Gnome, you can make him crawl along the ground. If they're trying to jump over him, you can make him jump and anti-air them. And at the same time, you're moving around. You're doing your attacks. Like it's a puppet character, as well as like kind of a zonery kind of also has good normals.
Yeah, I mean, you can completely make him stop too, right? Like
you can make him stop and wait.
If you think, all right, so the opponent can pick the drone up, right?
Yes.
If you think they're going to pick the drone up, you just pause the drone and then drive it right into their face right after they go for the throw. It's cool.
Definitely. Yeah. So he's got really cool stuff. I played Patrick as well, and Patrick is the grappler, who I think does not seem very good. But I don't know. We'll see.
But he can KO both players, right?
Yeah, David literally did that to me.
Yeah, I definitely saw that, and I was like, yeah, 100% that's what David is going to do.
That was the first thing you did with Patrick.
And then I tried to press what is down special 100 times, and it never actually worked again because it's really slow and doesn't have good range. And I don't know if it's actually good. Anyway, who did you play, Doubleware?
I mostly played Reptar and a little bit of SpongeBob. I played very tiny bit with Ren and Stimpy. They seem like maybe they can be good, but I'm not good at the game, so
yeah,
who knows? What else did I try? I tried most of the cast. I tried both the turtles. Aang. I think Aang is very clearly good. That character, like, I feel like all the characters from a very certain time frame in Nicktoons are very strong. Like, Oblina's good. Zim is good. Aang is good. The turtles are good. April is good. Like, these are all, like, very obviously strong characters to me. And they're all from, like, the early 2000s or like
You're
2006.
saying the devs are biased towards the early cartoons?
They might be a little biased towards those characters. Maybe those are the ones they grew up with.
Wow.
Dude, that's real life, man. I mean, if I put it this way, if I'm working on a game like that and it's like characters I grew up with, I'm gonna be a little biased. Okay. If I ever make a Marvel game, Spider-Man is top tier. Like, no question, I'm making that character better than he's ever been. Remember in Marvel Infinite when he had Web Ball into the stone, into Web Ball.
Reality Stone, Web Ball.
And it's not coming out. It's staying in the game. That's how good Spider-Man would be, all right? But anyway, yeah, I played with most of the cast. I didn't try Zim because David and Adam Keats was playing with us.
Yeah.
Played a lot of Zim, but he very obviously seemed extremely strong.
Yeah.
Everything David said is true. Plus, he has wildly good air normals.
For sure.
Wildly good air normals.
All right. Well, look, there's a lot of positives. I'm also, in terms of the online play, I'm in SoCal. You're in the northern Midwest. Keats is in Florida. We were mostly playing with totally fine connection. There were a couple of stages that had really bad, not even slow down, but like also just weird inputs and choppiness, and so we didn't play on those. And there were a couple instances of big time slowdowns and like packet loss situation, it seemed. And actually in those situations, the game would then pick itself back up without needing to shut off to like end the game. And then we would like, go back to playing. But yeah, overall, good netcode, totally.
And there's a spectator mode, right, good. Too? I mean, I saw
There's a spectator mode.
Yeah.
There is a spectator mode. There's private lobbies. You can have more than one set of games going in a lobby at a time. They got a lot of stuff right with that. They got a lot of stuff wrong too, though. It's weird to pick in order to pick a new stage. You have to go back, and then you have to go back to character select. Then you have to remake the route. Like there's just a lot that goes.
Like Smash.
Yeah,
it's just a lot that goes into stuff that it should not. But even like outside of that, the game does have some problems, like David was leading up to. For example, mirror matches. There's no alternate colors. If you pick Leonardo and your opponent picks Leonardo, you're both blue headband Leonardo, no special costume. You're just that character. The only indicator of who is who is your name on top of your character. It's extremely easy to not be able to tell who is who.
Oh,
There's a
Jesus.
point where I was like, I want to see what happens when we pick the same character. So Keats and I both picked Leonardo. We kept losing who was who.
Yeah.
It was not good.
That
And that
sounds
also plays into just like the look of the game. The backgrounds are like the same saturation and color as the foreground. So seeing projectiles and seeing characters is difficult. It's not easy to see. This is like one of those. There's been a trend ever since like maybe Overwatch, where the enemy always has like a red or blue outline to them.
Yeah.
I've never liked that, but this game absolutely needs it, and it needs it on that and projectiles, or they need to like desaturate something or do something to make things pop out. Because it's very easy to lose the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's what a lot of people have complained about Guilty Gear in the same way, right? That sometimes the
Guilty Gear has that problem too.
Yeah, it's just one of those.
But it's more severe.
Things. Yeah,
it's much more severe in Nicktoons though, just from like a video game perspective. Yeah. It's very, very easy to lose stuff.
Yeah, is that because the IP holders are being strict? That's something that we speculated as well might be the reason, but it could also just be that they didn't have enough dev time or money or whatever it may be. I don't know.
I mean, I was just really surprised because like I was watching your guys for just a little bit. I didn't get a chance to play with you guys, but I watched it a little bit. The movement seemed really good in that game.
Yeah,
like the game feels good.
Dude,
the movement's
people
great.
were zipping around everywhere, and like you guys were saying before the stream started that some people feel like this game is almost kind of like the broken version of Smash, where everybody is kind of busted.
Dude, it's looking like it. I mean, it's just I don't know about everybody, but some characters are looking real. I mean, there's been infinites found, there's been inescapables found.
Right.
Mikey has a bug where he can delay the match out or something like that.
Okay.
But it definitely feels like a Kusoge like platform fighter.
I feel like that might make people like it a lot.
That's what I said too. It might be.
Like,
we'll see. We'll see, man. It's pretty frustrating. Like some of the infinites and such, and like the really, really hard to escape things aren't hard to perform.
Okay,
it's real easy to start this stuff. So it's not like it's like in Marvel 2, if you do it Iron Man Infinite, it's impressive, right? Like it's crazy A that you hit me with it, and B that you keep it up.
I mean,
it's not.
When the game originally came out, it felt like it was super easy to land that thing, right? But it's just the better people get, they know what to avoid a little bit more. They know to get hit on purpose or have a special timing to push block on the guard break. And, remember Roundhouse versus Justin? Justin one time was about to get guard broken in the infinite, had the perfect push block timing. And, I feel like... I mean, the way that I saw you moving Aang around, like, I just imagine someone who's going to put in time into this game is just going to have the most irritating Aang on the face of the earth, and people are going to just... I mean, look at Sailor Moon, right? I mean, there's a character who can backdash infinitely and be invincible 100% of the time, and she's like the worst character in the game. So
I mean, you got to hit someone eventually, right?
Right.
You can't run away forever; you'll lose.
It's like in HNK where characters have infinites, and everybody knows that. And a big part of why people who like the game are playing the game is because it's interesting for them to find ways into the infinites when everybody knows the ways into the infinites. Which, to be fair, is a lot of ways for a lot of the characters. But like that makes, in my view, for like pretty interesting playing and viewing. I haven't played the game forever, but like I've watched it. And it's cool to see like how everybody knows to not be in these situations. I don't know. It could be that way with this game. It also could be the case that they patch it and change it so that there's not infinite.
I am 100% sure that some patches and changes will be coming. I mean, the devs have been pretty active on Twitter and such.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so I think there's good stuff about the game. I think there's bad stuff about the game that I would like to see changed. The things that you guys talked about, I think were the big ones for me too. But as far as having fun with it, I definitely enjoyed it, and it's got more complexity than I think the character breakdowns made it seem. So I like that.
Like I said before, the devs definitely seem like they're trying really, really hard and making a lot of good decisions and have a lot of respect for original Melee. So, like I said, I like what I've seen just from the little bits of it that I've seen, but I have confidence that the devs will do a lot of fixes and changes. So.
All right. Anything else to say on this one?
I want to say no one can say I hate Melty because I brought you guys Majin Obama. You wanted Melty, I got you Melty, and we're about to bring him on now. Well, after a short break.
All right.
All right, we're gonna take a break and then coming back with Majin Obama. Stick around, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show. I'm James, and I am joined by David and Tubo, and we are going to be joined by yet another fellow, Mr. Majin Obama. Let's bring him on here and say hello. There we go.
Dude, y'all have really upped the production value since the last time I was on the show. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We definitely been trying to set it up.
James put a lot of it together.
Oh, James!
Yeah, and I'm screwing it up
As soon
right
as
now.
the compliment comes.
Dude,
Who made that transition screen? Who made that?
James did that.
I hired somebody to make that transition screen for us. So
Very
I
nice.
did that, so,
Never
yeah.
mind. James
Very
hired
nice.
someone to do that.
Yeah,
That's
So,
some
no,
good
I mean,
management.
he did it.
Honestly, he won't take a lot of credit for it, but Rick, the Hado, just kind of came in and was like, "Here's a treatment I think that might look good," and I just replicated the whole entire thing.
That's
so
true, too.
There we go.
That is a very Rick the Hado thing to do, I think.
absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, man.
I can
Much obliged.
definitely imagine that conversation.
We're going to be talking about all the stuff that you can see on the bottom part of the screen right there. So look, get hyped to talk about that
SEC
stuff.
cheating, man.
Get hyped to talk
SEC
about that
cheating,
stuff.
AKA winning.
Get hyped.
AKA winning.
Talk about that stuff.
SEC cheating.
Here's what we're going to start with, though, is we always start with talking about people's backgrounds. So if you could, please talk with us about how you got into fighting games in the first place, and then how you got into the competitive side of them and started taking them more seriously.
Okay, so the first question, how I got into fighting games at all, I have the weirdest, there's like chapters of my life where I feel, this sounds stupid as hell, but I feel like it was like fate or something, like slowly telling me, hey, you should ruin yourself by playing these games and being bad at them for the rest of your life. You know, that kind of shit. So there's like multiple stages of my life where it's like the wheels of fate were turning and they just guided me towards these games. And for whatever reason, maybe I got into it at that time and then dipped out or whatever, came back later, and another chapter happened. I've chronicled a lot of them in various like stories on YouTube. Yeah. There's like too many, but I mean a quick rundown. Dude, me and my cousins used to just go at it in whatever era. Dude, like I remember being like 6, 7 years old at my grandma's house. They're playing Street Fighter 2. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell's even going on here? Quick summary: the true origin story is my cousins maybe like 5 or 6 years older than me, right? So we used to just go at it in whatever game.
Yeah.
Throughout over the years. So he lived in Texas and I lived in Louisiana, but anytime he had kind of a rough childhood too. So whenever we would meet up, I guess it would be like it wouldn't be too often, but whenever we did, we would just go at it in whatever game we were feeling at the time. Whether it was Madden 2001, Madden 2099, NHL for NHL hockey game for Sega Genesis, Street Fighter 2 was the one, and I remember he did me dirty in a way that I have never been. I haven't seen anyone or heard anyone do something this evil in real life. It's like some shit out of a manga or an anime. I remember my 2 younger cousins who were girls we were all at my grandma's house, and he had Street Fighter 2 for Genesis. And I guess I must have been just getting lucky and beating his ass. I had to have been 5 years old. He had to have been 9. You know, to me, it's like he can drive, he can drink alcohol, but like when you're that age, right? Yeah. I'm like, dude, he's a big kid. You know, I can't tell him shit. And I'm just clapping his cheeks in this. You know, I'm loving it. He called my 2 younger cousins in the room, taught them how to do special moves, and he would not tell me. I asked, I was like, how do I throw the fireballs or whatever? He's like, not telling you. He told my little cousins, and then they came in the room and they were beating my ass. And there was just like, that's the earliest memory I have of playing a fighting game. There's a few more chapters to this shit, but it's way too much for this show.
Dude,
I think.
it's always family and like relatives and siblings and stuff like that get so many people into this, man. You just want to beat them. I mean, like, that's like the Kayane story, it's the Sonic Fox story, right? So
You know what's funny is so I guess because it's COVID time, you know, like I haven't been able to go home for what, a year and 10 months, I guess, right? I actually called him maybe like a month or two ago. So I made a video about this. I'm getting it animated to put on my YouTube.
oh, nice.
But I called him maybe like 2 months ago and we were just talking shit. I just hadn't talked to him in a year and a half or whatever, right? And I guess he saw one of my videos recently. And I told him that I was making one about that time that he did me dirty like that. And he was like, bro, I don't even remember that. But if I did that to you, you had to been beating my ass real bad. I had to been real desperate. It's like he kind of remembered, but not really. But to me, that was a defining moment. You know how how that works? You know?
For him, it was Tuesday.
Right, yeah. Forming for you.
But he was just dying laughing. I told him that tickled him so hard. But I guess speaking competitively, for me, when I started university at Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans, I was in the dormitory.
What year is this?
This is like 06.
Oh, how old are you?
06, yeah.
So you're my age then.
Oh, I'm 30. I'm 33.
Dude,
Okay.
you made
You're my age.
the way you said
We're youngins.
06,
We're youngins.
You made it sound like it was so long ago. God, it was like way back in 06.
Forever ago, bro.
It was actually.
Bro, that was 15. That was 15 years ago. We're old as fuck.
Anyway,
I think with modern fighting game discourse, it feels like it was forever ago. You know,
I mean, it was a
like
long time
to
ago,
me.
to be honest.
So you say that, but like in my mind, I'm still like a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my mind, I know that's not true, but I'm saying like to me, what's the term that everybody killed? OG, right? To me, OGs are like late 90s, early 2000 people.
Yeah,
I mean, the quote unquote new gen. You know what I mean?
For me, like as somebody who came in the early 2000s, I always feel like I'm the third generation, fourth generation, even something like that. So yeah.
So you get it.
On the other hand, like I am definitely OG compared to a lot of people. But
I mean,
anyway,
I don't even consider Alex Vi first generation. Like that's how long I've been in the scene, dude.
Well, Niners stand up, baby.
Well, yeah. I mean, like time is relative, right? So like
Right,
that makes sense. You know, the way you think about yourself, I'm like, dude, like, you know, people like Hook and God's age, they're calling me old and shit. I'm like, dude, you don't even know the real old people, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm.
Tell Hook and God
anyway,
to come talk to me if he wants to know about the old people, okay? I'm right here.
You know, like
boss.
they throw around the word boomer real loosely these days. I'm
They
like,
do.
bro, y'all don't even know who the real old people are anyway. But anyway, I remembered even through high school, I was always messing around with a few games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3. In particular, I've told this story too. James Chen, you got my ass beat bad one time, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. Those little documents you put on game FAQs, I printed out a couple. I meant to just highlight a certain part and print out that one page, but shit, I ended up printing up the whole 200 pages. And because you refused to write number notation, you had to make the little joystick with the ASCII art and shit like that. That shit took up like 300 pages, dude. That was a whole new ink cartridge. My dad came home one time. He said, "What the hell is this, dude? I just bought a new pack of paper and new ink, and you wasted it in one button press. What the hell is this?" So thank you for that, James Chen.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Someone actually walked up to me one time and was like, "Look, I printed out your whole X-Men Street Fighter FAQ, and I have it in this binder." And I looked at him and I was like, "You killed a tree, dude." I was like,
Yeah.
"Why would you do this?"
Write down a few notes.
You were definitely acing the creative writing in some of those too.
Oh, yeah.
Like some of the descriptions. And stuff that you were, I still remember that very well.
I mean,
But,
everybody knows. Everybody knows the Sabretooth, Ryan.
Yeah. But I guess I was in that dormitory when I first started in the like common area, I guess, in the bottom. You know, it was kind of like a tight knit dorm, not really that big or anything like that. They had a PlayStation 2 and a Dreamcast. They had Marvel, Third Strike, Guilty Gear XX, Soul Calibur 3, a couple other games. And I just remember, dude, we used to just go to class, and then it would just be war every night, pretty much. And if you could stay on, you could stay on. And then eventually I was like, damn, I'm beating most of these dudes' asses. They're pretty dumb. Shit, let me see what else is out there. Or let me see what I can learn to cheese them even harder than I already am. And then eventually I started going on SRK. Took me a year and a half. It was really weird. It took me like a year and a half to find the Louisiana thread. That's one of the biggest threads on old SRK forums, by the way. Is legit like one of the biggest on the website, one of the oldest. But it was in a weird region for that. So I never saw it until like a year later almost. But anyway, I used to just go on there and just try to learn random things, like, am I trying to do like ROM, or am I trying to learn like this damn, I saw this Iron Man Infinite, whatever. Damn, that the Chun parry, that got me into it or whatever. I'm part of that generation, very much so. You see the Chun parry? Damn, I want to do the Chun parry. Let me see how to do this, right? So you go onto the forums, you hang out on GD, mostly fighting game discussion, right? Just read a bunch of that stuff. Then eventually I was like, oh shit, there's actually an arcade not too far from here. Go to the arcade, and I eventually meet up with some of the real people, right? So you start going there. I start playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 a little bit more. Not seriously, but playing whatever I was playing as well as I could. Like Mega Man, Silver Samurai, Venom, or some shit like that. Eventually I meet up with people who were actually pretty good at the game, right? Like people like Chris Creasy, aka Magneto X. And they pretty much put me on, dude. I had started playing Third Strike. The first tournament I went to, he probably doesn't even know this or remember this, but it was Vegeta X. He was a old Marvel 2 player from New Orleans, right? Famous for like the Rogue Tron stuff. He ran a tournament out of a LAN center, and that was the first event I went to. I didn't even enter. I just came there just to watch him and play casuals. And that was like, yeah, I'm in this. I'm about this. So from there, I was like, all right, gotta pick a game. I was mostly dabbling around with, most of the Capcom titles, like ST, Third Strike, Marvel, I want to say is what I gravitated towards too at the time. But eventually what I started to do was every few months, I would just get bit by a bug for one particular game and just kind of go in on it, Like, damn, I'm really feeling Third Strike right now, So it'd be like 6 to 8 months just playing with the Third Strike folks. Maybe a few months, there's a guy at school who I played Marvel with. Fuck it. I think I'm gonna try to learn a new team in Marvel. I want to be able to, clap him up. And it's just kind of just wash, rinse, repeat. Just going to local events like that. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my origin story. I went to Fun Arcade one night, and I picked Mega Man, Silver Samurai, Venom. I got matched up against Chris Creasy. There's like 30 people behind us. There's a bunch of quarters on the monitor. And he's playing MSS, and I give him the fucking business with Mega Man Silver Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's basically it. Like I was kind of hooked from then and there. You see the media and stuff like that. The Chun, like I said, I'm Chun-Li Parry generation. I think about it in terms of that. I think now we kind of think about it in terms of games. Like what we say, like Niners for Street Fighter 4 folks. We say like there's DBFZ Gen now. I think there's like the Strivers, the Street Fighter 5 Gen. You have all these like games that I think produce really strong groups of new entrants into the genre and our community, whatever you want to call it, right? The competitive space. For me, I think I'm a part of that, like that video gen.
The Daigo Parry, moment.
That was a big gen, dude. I knew a lot of people in that same boat for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people got.
Yeah, I don't think it's rare. I don't think it's rare, right?
It's not.
It's
among that age for sure. So what would you say were the games that you spent the most time with in competitive play? I don't mean just then. I mean, like, if you think about your like fighting game play in general.
I mean, clearly Melty Blood, right?
Competitively speaking, no, not so much. I'd say, dude, that's a hard question to answer, man. Man, I don't even know.
Well, give me a small list. You don't need to narrow it down to one.
I mean, do you feel like you have a main game, like, or main series that you played, kind of thing?
No, that's the thing, man. I think since Jump, I've always been kind of multiplayer.
That's cool. That's cool.
What we say, like multi-game player, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I caught on. Maybe initially there was a point where I kind of had stronger bias towards Capcom titles, but I quickly got around to the idea of, man, it's not just about this one collection of games; it's this whole genre. They all have it's like a spice rack, They all have something interesting and cool that you can enjoy about each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And I kind of very quickly came around to that idea and the beauty of it.
Nice.
You know, where even this like corny ass looking game from like 1990, you know, this who the hell is Sunsoft anyway? Oh, holy shit, this is Waku Waku 7. And it looks incredible, sounds incredible, and it's actually pretty damn fun. You know, just like that kind of experience. I don't know. I got onto very early on, especially, you know, when you get into things like Evo and when you get into watching, you know, SBOs and stuff like that. You like, you know what? Like, dude, damn, watching this game at high level, this shit was hype. I kind of want to mess around with it now. You sit down with it, boot it up. It was just random to me, like random games, Fate Unlimited Code, Melty Blood, you know, you name it. It just, I can't, I don't know. That's a hard question for me, man. But I think probably based on time, Xrd, Street Fighter 4 are probably up there.
Okay,
probably.
But I mean,
you don't need to narrow it down too much. I was just curious about the list overall.
I mean, honestly, I think that's an awesome thing, though, because I mean, like, more people need to be that open when it comes to fighting games. You know, being able to try all the different games and stuff like that. So it really changes your perspective on the genre when you actually start to find the enjoyment out of all the different games like that. So I think that's really cool.
So, you know this by now. It's about falling in love with the process too, right? So you go through the process of learning a game and the stress from that, the struggle from that, or whatever. But you find like fun in that, or like in the challenge that is associated with it. Right. Coming around to that idea and then just kind of like just not necessarily copy pasting that approach, but just like being able to enjoy that with whatever. You know, that's something that I think I caught on to very early, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are able to do that now. It doesn't seem that way, I guess, based on dialogue. Yeah. But that was just kind of the way that I came up, and I guess the community also kind of reared me on that too.
I mean, in the era that you were talking about getting involved, the US FGC was very Capcom heavy. I was that way at the time as well. I mean, I certainly knew people who were playing other games, but that was the bulk of it. And then as things developed and new games came out, that's, you know, I didn't see other games, maybe Tekken aside, Tekken like a long time obviously, but other than that, 2D games, it was very Capcom heavy until, I don't know, 09, 10 maybe. Things started to diversify, at least in the US. So what
I agree with that, and I would say I would even take that a step further until like a couple years ago. To be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say in 09 it was all Street Fighter 4, and then 2011 it was all Marvel.
I'm thinking about BlazBlue. I'm thinking about people importing gear at that time.
That's fair.
I mean, honestly,
I would say.
Oh, go ahead.
I agree with that, but then it happens like to an order of magnitude higher. I think now. I think like in terms of that perspective, I feel like now it's crazy, dude. I mean, y'all brought me on here talk about Melty Blood, right? I don't think anybody, but honestly, we don't even. You can cut it off at Melty Blood. You don't have to. Like Guilty Gear is this way too. I don't think anybody who was playing those games 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would have ever imagined in 2021 they get a new title and there's 30,000 people or 13,000 people playing those games respectively on Steam at one given moment.
You're right.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I feel like Street Fighter V having one of the worst launches in fighting game history actually kind of did a lot of the other games favors, because it really pushed people, I feel like, to a lot of other games. You know, it kind of took the sheen off of Street Fighter 4 with that, and Marvel as that kind of dominating kind of franchise, I feel like. So,
you know, that's an interesting perspective, James, just because I feel like maybe in the West it's had that effect.
Okay.
But in Japan, you know, and I'll put this out there, one of the lame things about Japan now, to be honest with you, aside from the fact that, you know, I'm out here, but to be honest with you, fighting games are just not that big here anymore. They're not. The gaming market, the idea of like Japanese players gravitating towards fighting games, I think it's just a very different like landscape right now here. And one of the lame things kind of about it, to be honest with you, is while you say that about Street Fighter V with the West, I think one of the greatest tragedies of Street Fighter V is how all the JP talent here, they're all with like 90% consistency, they only play Street Fighter 5 now.
Yeah. There has
There
been a
are
big
players who categorically are insane multi-game specialists, right?
Yeah, you're right. Tokido, Machabo becoming a largely Street Fighter 5 player.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Mago
for sure. There's a lot of characters.
And that's just an
Daigo,
interesting like observation, right? With just like kind of the difference in how it's played out.
Well, okay,
and there's obviously reasons for that too, both economically and there's a lot of different reasons for that.
That's what I want to know. Yeah,
funny how it works out.
That is.
Well,
I think there's a few reasons. So first of all, like, especially with the recently, right? Like Street Fighter League has been a big focus. There's been players who like have kind of avoided playing anything else because they want to compete in Street Fighter League. And if you get caught playing something else and then you do poorly in Street Fighter League, right? That's like, oh, are you really a pro? You have to understand one of the big things about this, and you guys can remember this from a couple years ago, is when this whole Jesu thing and the pro license thing was happening. A lot of that conversation revolved around what the image of a pro is. What does that even mean? What the idea of a pro in the scope of JP society is. That kind of stuff, right? So if you're in Street Fighter League, you're expected to be performing and playing Street Fighter 5 at your best. But then I check your stream and you're playing Smash Brothers. What are you doing? What are you really doing?
Right.
Though, to be fair, that's one of the hype things about Momochi winning that tournament a couple years ago.
Yeah, sure.
All he did was play Smash Brothers the week before, right? But it's just kind of an interesting, I think, difference in how it's kind of shaken down based on regions, Whereas you see a lot of Western players now, they're a lot more focused on building their own. I hate to use this term, but you guys know what I mean. Like building a brand,
Totally.
They making whether it's making videos, streaming, both, ideally, talking shit on Twitter, whatever, right? Having an opinion, like all this kind of stuff to be able to build themselves into something. And that's something that's kind of ramped up in the West, I think, in the past year or two, specifically.
Especially because of the pandemic.
And props to the young gen, man.
For sure.
Punk is streaming Melty Blood right now, dude. They're willing to try shit.
For sure.
And I don't think that was the case that much 10 years ago,
Absolutely not. You're right.
But they're willing to try stuff, especially in this era that a lot of you don't see as much over here, It's just an interesting kind of difference with the way. Yeah.
It clearly just shows that drip doesn't matter. So that's great.
Or the most profound question: what is drip?
Yeah.
All right.
Better question.
We could have a whole stream on that.
From my perspective here, the way
I killed it in a 6-minute video, dude. You getting
I watched it. I'm subbed. I watched. Don't get to me. I already know.
So I'm as far as my perspective from here in the U.S., the way that I see Japan, and please let me know if this is right or if not. My view is that the scene there is more sort of bifurcated in a sense. So in the U.S. we have and have long had community tournaments and kind of very gradual grassroots is getting up to a higher kind of level of esports and now it's different. But even at the same time, that grassroots is still there. Obviously, grassroots always existed in Japan, but not with the tournaments in the same way, just due to the laws there. And so you didn't have the development of these community organizers that were making big tournaments that allowed players to travel, play with each other, make money, importantly. And instead, what has kind of happened instead is that you have very money-heavy top-down kind of organizations instead, Jesu and Street Fighter League, for example, that are there instead. So this kind of hollow middle is my view of it, of arcade grassroots, nothing, big esports. And what's the middle? I don't know. Whereas in other parts of the world, it feels to me like we do kind of have the middle as well. Yeah, a little bit better balance. So in talking about the players who left other games to play Street Fighter League, etc., I feel like that's why there's no middle. It's hollowed out for them. Do you feel like this is accurate?
Yeah, I think that's part of the equation. But again, to me, when you start to sit down and think about it, it feels like a grandfather clock. There's so many gears and moving parts inside that you've settled on one gear. For sure, especially with the transition from these titles to arcade as a main platform to not.
Right.
that's something else that's come into play, especially since that's something that I think Japan really struggled with as Street Fighter V early on, was there weren't a lot of offline venues to play at, and there was no arcade version, right? So that's something that's a little bit different now, I think. But generally, still that, and also I'd say how dependent they are on like a few key figures too. There's a few people out here, man, who they pretty much run all the events, and like Matsuda-san, the guy that runs like Co-op Cup, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, dude, he's got to be deadlifting 600 raw, dude. He like his back is just like, I mean, he carries the shit, you know. And I'm not gonna say there's nobody, but I don't see people stepping up to that same level to fill like, you know, to fill that same level of commitment or carry like that is the thing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that there's a lot of maybe drive to do that. I can't imagine. I don't know. It's a hard combo just because there's so many layers to it, to be honest with you. You know, you were saying, David, I think there's also the aspect of, because there wasn't that middle ground where there's maybe some kind of way to make some monetary return like that. Aside from, you know, certain events that were held and sponsored, and they had a prize that you could sell back or something, you know. For that reason, when you introduce then the idea of you're a pro, salary, all this other stuff, you know, security, all this other stuff, that's so attractive to them. And that I think that it makes a lot of sense for them to just buy into that so hard the way they did from Street Fighter V launch up until now.
I mean, I feel like...
Whereas in the...
No, I was about to say, that's kind of like just Japan culture, right? Professionalism, like, you know, the job, you gotta do the thing, right? It's like, it's not as much, it doesn't seem to promote as much kind of like a casual interest in it. If you go in, you have to go in all the way, kind of, right?
No, Momochi talked about it a lot in his, he wrote not a twit long, you know what I mean? Like some write-up, like 2 or 3 years ago where he talked about it. And yeah, that's a big part of that conversation is the perspective of games in Japan, right? Like, oh, you just play games versus I'm a professional. There's a nuance to that here that they really value and that they really want to change and build. Whereas in America, I don't give a shit, dude. You know, like, I mean, I try explaining to my parents what I do. I sound like Harry Potter to these people. You know, they're like, I don't know, man. I make videos and do shit. I don't know, you know.
Well, speaking of, I mean, like we're kind of going off on a tangent. Can you talk to us about your content creation? How this started? I mean, your stream has been killing it. YouTube numbers are going up. How did this start? When did you decide this is what you want to do, or is it something that just kind of happened?
I still don't really even consider I hate that term, content creator. I still don't even consider I'm just dude who likes fighting games. That's it. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, I really, just in my head, I cut it off at that. And the whole thing was, originally, like, I guess with YouTube, to me, I was more worried about the stuff. Maybe there were some issues with Twitch for a little while where I was concerned, like, maybe if something happens to this website, I'd like to continue streaming or something like that. So I maybe just, put this on the back burner. And then there's a lot of reasons for it, but, to me, originally, I started streaming. What was the first stream I did? I think I played Cory in the House for Nintendo DS or some shit like that. I don't know. I just turned it. I turned it on just to like mess around. I think like some Guilty Gear thing was coming out soon, so I turned that on. I watched that, or I did NetPlay or something like that. But for a lot of this stuff, that's a bad question, dude. I'm kind of just doing my own thing, man. I don't even know anymore, to be honest with you. But what I realize is that it's important when you talk about how you want the scene to grow or how you want a game to grow or anything like that. I think what's become more important now is coming up with ways to share with other people why you think they should care about this thing. Or why you're so excited about this thing. That I think is something that fighting games, specifically like, the people that play fighting games, I think that's a kind of middle ground that was missing for a long time. Or I can't say missing, but was not as strong as it could have been for a few years.
Not as emphasized.
And I think when you look, Yeah, when you look at when you look around and you see like, damn, Smash community, they've got all these people just talking shit, making videos, and people are engaging with it. They're talking about it. You get to see how much that contributes to macro level growth. You know, you really get the like a bird's eye view of it. And I think maybe it didn't really hammer it in for me until I started working for Liquid, right? Where I'm looking at all of a sudden I'm looking at fighting game like stream numbers. I'm looking at various figures related to our game. I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like we are doing nothing. Like you're trying to get. I'm excited over over this figure, for this one game doing, and it's like, dude, that is like a drop of water in the ocean. That's nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I don't know. It's a weird question to answer for me. I guess just if I can contribute in my own way, I want to. Right. I just want to. I guess my thing is share why I think certain things are cool with other people.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's the best way to promote anything, is to be excited about it yourself and show people why it's fun to do, fun to be in. So,
I mean, I think
some of the coolest stuff somebody in chat said it, dude. What's up?
No, go ahead.
No, you talk. Go.
I was gonna say, I think that some of the coolest stuff that you do is actually not like directly fighting game related. It's the stories that you have that are like in many cases like about a fighting game, or like the fighting game is like tangential in the story, and instead it's like more like about your experience, or like a funny way of telling it, that kind of stuff. That is, I would imagine, is a big part of bringing people in who then hopefully some of them care about fighting games, right? Because there's other stuff that you do that is more directly fighting game related, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's not necessarily about like the direct angle, right? Sometimes it's about getting someone based off of a tangent, like you said, and then when it comes time for you to talk about, okay, for example, like you like this one like TV program or something like that. You talking about that, one random person catches you talking about that or playing that game,
gushing.
And then when you come back to this game that you want, if that one more person sticks around for that, let's say they get interested, they buy the game. Okay, that's a dub. Oh, they signed up for a tournament? Double dub. They actually traveled to an event? That's like, that's worth it to me. Like that, if you can contribute to growth even in that way, that's not insignificant, Yeah.
I was streaming Melty Blood recently and someone's like, should I get this game? And I was like, dude, it's pretty fun. I mean, how does it look to you? And then later on the stream, was like, all right, I bought the game. So there you go.
That is definitely cool.
A real quick question. Do you mind staying on for a lot longer than the half an hour here? I mean, we don't want to take up all of your time or anything like that, but obviously...
Listen, man, I want to take your whole damn day if you got stuff to talk about. Let's go.
I got to go to the studio early anyway, man. So, hell with it, man. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay,
just
sweet.
put the you want to do PTI? Put the 2-minute drill on me.
I'm gonna put the 15. I'm gonna put 15 minutes back on the clock here. So
we'll see. I don't know if he has 15.
I don't know about 15. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one question I really wanted to ask you though was, what was the decision for you to move to Japan? Like, how was that decision made? And like, I mean, like, what was the goal when you first moved to Japan?
Oh, dude, it's don't ask me that. I'm gonna sound real stupid. I just want to play fighting games in arcade.
Yo, dude,
what are you talking about?
James, why he went to college?
That's the
James, why did you go to college where you went to college?
I went to UCLA because they had the best arcade.
Yeah, buzz off, man. You know how it is, dude. I was like,
that's what I was about to say.
I feel like taking a little extended vacation. Dude, where am I gonna go?
That's what I was about to say. That's the best. That's the best reason to move to Japan that I think I've heard, dude. Like that's awesome.
Because for a long time, my goal was I wanted to win an SBO call. That was one of my goals for a long time. So I was like, damn, obviously it went the way of the dodo before that was a reality.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I was like, you know what? Take an extended vacation. I head out to Japan. I'll go to SBO. Not the way I wanted to, but hell with it. I'll go. And just messed up. Started staying longer. Then like fast forward 9 years. I can still here.
It's been 9 years now.
9 years. Yeah.
Still on vacation, man. Still on vacation.
So, I mean, do you have a visa or anything like that at this point, or not? Or
yeah, I got a big dub earlier this year. I got I don't have to do teaching or anything like that. I'm good on that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Got a 3-year actually. Got pretty lucky.
Nice work.
I mean, how are you enjoying it though? I mean, being able to, because I mean, clearly right now, you and Giuna are like the main representatives of English speaking audiences for Japan and for how the culture is there, and so you kind of are, like spokesperson is not the word I'm looking for, but you're like one of the authorities.
The face of,
Yeah, the face of like the Japan scene for a lot of English speakers and stuff like that. Like, is that something that you take a lot of pride in, or is it just like, hey, it just fell into that way and it wasn't really a goal or anything like that?
No, it wasn't necessarily a goal at first. You just, the thing is, if you have a vested interest with some of the stuff, it just kind of naturally happens, right? You just turn into a bridge, kind of. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Like, even like commentary, I had zero interest in ever doing commentary. You want to know the first time I ever did commentary? I went to Mikado. I set up an exhibition. I was like, I want to see these two dudes fight. I'll let Giuna do commentary. And then he was like, oh, I can't do it. I got like Beast TV or something that week. I was like, well, shit, I guess I'll do it. But I did that just for no reason other than like, oh, I just wanted to see this. Like it kind of just went from there. It wasn't like so little of that stuff is planned. It's just you have a vested interest in this, or this is something that you'd like to do. Naturally, I think it's not strange for you to kind of be a bridge for people or ideas or that kind of thing. Promotion, whatever.
All right. Well, people would be very upset if we brought you on here and we didn't ask you, what do you think about Melty Blood and what do you think about the Shield?
Shield in particular, I'll start with that. It is very heavy Exerd Sign 1.0 Blitz Shield vibes. I've got that vibe from the very beginning, although I do think it is less cohesive right now. I think I'll be honest with you, I might sound stupid. I don't know. People blow up over anything these days. But I think what's missing right now from some of the Melty Blood systems is compared to, let's say, Uni, since James brought that up earlier. Because right now I do feel, if I can backtrack for a second, my initial expectation for this game was not NBA ACC 2. I was expecting a kind of just middle ground between Melty, which was, they made that game, 15 years ago, 16 years ago? Most recent version is 10 years ago now? Versus Undernight, right? I was expecting a kind of healthy middle ground. Because Undernight in particular is going to represent some of their more modern development ideas and perspectives. So I was expecting something in the middle. For me, personally, right now what it feels like is, rather than be directly in the middle, I do think it's skewed a little bit towards Uni or Dengeki or something like that. But with some Melty movement sprinkled in, with Melty pressure concept sprinkled in. Not necessarily the way they play out, but even some systems, right? Like the shield system. But that was one that reminded me most of Exerd Sign 1.0 Blitz Shield for a few reasons. I think one of the things that's wrong with it right now is low shield kits as mids as well as lows.
Yeah.
That's also something that I think was with Blitz Shield in 1.0. I think what the game lacks in certain parts right now is cohesion, system cohesion. What I mean by that is when you play Uni, right, you have the grid system that's locked to all these different actions, right? But right now, Shield is kind of just there. You can just do it. Mm-hmm. You can kind of just do it, and then if it's successful, you get this reward. But if it's successful, you can use 50% of the moon gauge to do this, invul dash through attack or whatever. What I think would be interesting, and I think would kind of curb a lot of people's feelings right now, because I feel like with Moondrive specifically and Shield, my initial feeling is that it's a little too much, quote unquote. And not too much in that their potential is that high, but maybe too reoccurring in a match. Shield system for me right now doesn't bother me per se, but I would like it if maybe Shield cost Moon Gauge to do. right? So similar to Blitz Shield, right? You need a 25% meter to do it, and then if it hit, you got 12.5% back, right? Something like that, I think, could make shields feel a little bit heavier and slightly more committal to do, even more so than they already are.
I mean,
I believe
even
if you have more moon gauge, I think shield recovers faster, right?
Yeah, so it's connected in that way.
It
right?
is connected at least a little bit.
Yeah, at least a little bit. But what I'm looking for, I think, in future versions and revisions of the game, is more cohesion like that.
I mean,
and even
if
I
it
would
was,
say,
like,
beyond
even if-
an A launcher or a C launcher, right? I think it'd be cool if they added more options, maybe. So, for example, in the older game, you had Shield Bunker, which you could do shield, and then you do another move that launches for them, and you can do. I think putting a spin on that, even where, let's say you had another metered option that was tied to moon gauge. So if you have like 10% moon gauge, you can do this option that cannot be re-shielded, but doesn't give damage, just knocks down or something like that.
Right.
So you could, okay, now I take my turn. So that way, there's already the options are kind of weighted, but you add more weighted options. I think that would make it more interesting. I think, especially if it was more of those were tied to the moon gauge. Also, moon drive, right? I think it happens too often is the problem. What I think would be really cool is if they made it, instead of 50% minimum, make it 100. That way I have to actually save my moon skills. It's another meter I have to manage. And then when I activate it, it feels special. You know, it feels like it's it feels like an option that I earned. I hate to say it that way, but you know what I mean.
I hear you.
I mean, I feel like even if they added something similar to Uni, like let's say you do get hit out of the shield because you shielded the wrong direction, or they throw you, you could shatter your moon gauge and you don't gain moon gauge and you can't shield again for a while or something like that. Like bigger punishment, yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that, I think, is what I'm looking forward to seeing out of future versions of the game. And then, of course, this is like day 5 impression, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm already
Exactly,
thinking about stuff like that. You know, coming from NBA ACC to this game, there were already like some systems and mechanics that were not present, which is to be expected, I think, just with new fighting games, right? Especially if they're kind of supposed to be like a reboot. But I think thinking about some of those mechanics and how they would work in this game makes me really excited, even if they just add in like 1 or 2 back, you know, that kind of thing. Stuff like circuit break or sidestep or those kinds of mechanics I think would be really interesting.
In
Looking
Japan,
ahead.
obviously Japan has a bigger Melty Blood scene than the US does. How are the veteran Melty Blood players reacting to Type Lumina right now, as far as you can tell in the early 5 days, you know?
It's been mostly positive. I think reception here's been positive. You say the community's super large here, but to be honest with you, I'm not so sure anymore. It's like I was alluding to before, dude. I think like with game population numbers, I don't think Japan is that spot anymore. I think a lot of these games are carried by the Western fan bases. To be honest with you,
Interesting.
but for a lot of the legacy players that have been playing so far, a lot of them seem really pleased. I will say the complaints, quote unquote complaints that I've seen is people saying stuff like similar to what I just said, right? Like Moon Drive is a little too much. I've seen some people propose maybe only 1 per round or something like that. Or they're like, damn, like the Shield RPS game is crazy. Maybe, you know, I haven't seen anything like I can't say I've seen anything like terribly negative though. The only thing that kind of strikes me is kind of like what I was saying. It's a new Melty Blood, but this game is very much its own thing. It does not feel like I think there's certain things about it that feel NBA, you know, like old Melty, but in a lot of ways it's very much its own thing. I think I've seen that as well.
It's similar to how Strive is, right? You know, it's Guilty Gear, but it's very much its own thing, right? So,
well, I'll be honest with you, that's the part that's really messing with me. I'm like, dude, am I just a complete batshit crazy hypocrite? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, dude, why do I vibe with this game so much harder than I did with Strive? And then like, there's so many parallels, but it's just like I think what I can kind of say is to me it just feels like in different spices and in different ways.
yeah.
And for some reason this one just this one just sits better with, like, dude, it just sits better in my stomach than the other one. I can't explain it.
I mean, they're similar only in the sense.
I'm on. You can die. I am a complete idiot and a hypocrite. I have no idea what the hell is wrong.
No.
They're similar in the sense that they're new takes on old games, but the games themselves are not similar. There's a ton of differences, very obviously, between Strive and Type Lumina.
Right. But I don't think that's what Obama's saying, though, right? I mean, it's more just like you're okay with Melty Blood being different than the previous one, whereas the Strive one bothers you a little bit more, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the like what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure why one sits so much more pleasantly than the other.
I mean, because you like one and you don't like the other as much.
There's no question about
I don't know if there's more there than that.
My intention was not.
I get that. I'm not denying that.
I didn't mention Guilty Gear to try to call you out, or I was just saying, like, from my perspective, it's very kind of a similar kind of.
Listen,
thing,
man, I'm calling you out. Strive is God. Like, you're a hater,
dude.
No drip.
I was
plus all you. Plus you fell off the stage jam.
I was lying in my bed last night. I'm like, what if they asked me about that? I'm like, what the hell am I gonna say, dude? I look like a complete idiot. You know, I just like.
There's no like requirement for consistency that just because you like the new version of one game, you need to like the new version of another. Like, just not.
You guys clearly don't understand FGC Twitter. You guys clearly don't understand FGC Twitter.
David, I get what you're saying, especially when you say something like, "I like this." With likes and with their fears, certain things with people are exempt from rationale. You know,
it's just subjective. It's inherently subjective.
I can't tell you why I love MTV's The Challenge. It's awful, but I'll be damned if I don't watch it every goddamn week. You know, there's something about it.
Yeah, I apologize. Sorry, too late. There's going to be an article. You know, Majin Obama, a hypocrite. You know, kind of.
Nah, we're on Kotaku. You're getting wrote up on Kotaku right away.
That's a personal thing with me. Is like, I get really bugged when I can't even. Like, with inconsistency really bugs me, you know?
It's not inconsistent.
I think normally I'm pretty consistent. So when I come across something that, even if it doesn't have to be, I can't even find, like, the consistent rationale myself, that bugs me.
Right. Like, I think some of the
consistency is just whether you subjectively like it. Like, you don't need to make it worse than that.
I mean, honestly, too, is that someone in the chat maybe even says that, you know, maybe the reason is you do hold Guilty Gear to a higher standard, right? Like, Guilty Gear is like, you know, is like Guilty Gear, and you wanted the new Guilty Gear to really.
That can't be true because Strive is amazing and godlike. Yeah, I
don't think it has to do with higher standards, because to me, at the end of the day, dude. I'll be honest with you. I think because you play fighting games, you get used to like putting them on a pedestal, or because you play this series, you get used to. To me, it's just like that's just another fighting game.
Yeah.
Like Guilty Gear is just another fighting game, just like Tekken is another game, just like Street Fighter is another game, just like this. And of course, there's differences within the histories and version and all that other stuff. If you really want to get into that, but like to me, it's just another game. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Okay. I think it's just with. Maybe a certain level of bias or comfort with what they gravitate towards. So, like, for me, I like Uni. So, if the game skews a little bit towards Uni, and I was expecting it in the middle, like, I'm like, cool, shit, you know, basically a new Friends Break game. I don't really care, you know, works for me. Whereas if it skews a little bit towards something that maybe that was further away from what I was expecting or what I would expect, you know?
Yeah. Expectations sets a lot.
Maybe that has it.
Yeah, expectations sets a lot.
Yeah, I guess. So,
yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to get to that we haven't talked about in any of these veins?
Yeah.
What else did y'all talk about this show so far? You talked about the Nick game. You talked about.
Yeah.
What else?
Sora.
Dude, just give me a
Sora,
PTI. Give me a
Melty.
2-minute drill. Just let me shoot for 2 minutes.
All right.
Sora?
Is Sora cool?
Yo, Kingdom Hearts 1. Start the timer, James. Start the timer. Give me 2 minutes.
2-minute drill.
2 minutes.
Sora.
Okay.
Sora.
Go. I'll tell you, dude, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Best moment of the series is when he's in the Tron world. Tron jumps in the vat of the virus, and he tells him goodbye and shot him. Dude, I drew real life tears when that happened. They put Sora in Smash. Congratulations. You guys deserve it. It's really cool. I think it's really surprising. The fact that they got Disney to okay the logo. It's really weird. But you know what's crazy to me is they do a Smash announcement. I feel like for the first time in 3 years, Twitter hasn't blown up afterwards. There's not a bunch of, like every time they release a character, there's just an inherent war on social media. Just like there's the Western fans versus the Asian fans when the Dragon Quest guy comes through. They're like, who the hell is this? Who the hell is this? Like, you don't know who this is. This is the clip. This is the original, you idiots. There's just like there's all these wars. Right. Like, what the hell is this Banjo-Kazooie bullshit? You're old as shit. Screw you. I want Master Chief. There's all this shit every time.
All right, KOF 15, cool or not?
I was gonna ask
you,
KOF 15 news.
KOF 15, it feels floatier, a little bit slower than 14, but it feels good. Not gonna lie to you, I am not a huge fan of the aesthetic direction, but the game is very vibrant. It jumps off the screen. The colors are very good. It looks a lot better in motion than what I think a lot of people are expecting, and even I was expecting. So far, it feels a bit more streamlined, a little bit more lenient, in my opinion. Shatter Strike is the new mechanic, and so far it looks to be pretty strong. It's basically red focus if you're not familiar. Yeah. Imagine they just put red focus in KOF.
Right.
That's basically it. You can combo into it. It gives half a bar on hit on return, though. So I think there's few people are kind of wondering, like, maybe that's a little bit too strong, especially if max mode is 2 bars.
2006, SEC or Pac-10? Which one's stronger?
That specific year? Who won in 06? I'm just saying,
this is a 2-minute drill, buddy. You're running out of time.
Florida won. Florida won the national championship in 06.
I was gonna ask too. Who he thought was gonna win the Street Fighter League in Japan.
The BCS saga is over. That's a dub, dude. We're on to the next one.
I
honestly,
can't.
What? 2019. David.
I can't. I have no. It's obviously over. Obviously, SEC is stronger than Pac at this point.
The last night I was in America, do you know what I did? I went to the LSU championship football game.
Oh, sick, dude.
That's sick.
That was I literally got on the plane the next morning. That was the last
awesome.
Super sick, dude.
That's cool.
I ask everybody this question, and since you have kind of 2 of them, where did Majin Obama come from, and where did Tootie Jazz come from?
I have no idea. I used to get banned on SRK a lot, so I just had to make a new name like every other month. So
all right, because I was asking people like, what was your name on SRK? Because I couldn't remember. And then this actually makes way more sense that it was something different.
I had like 4 accounts, dude.
All right, I don't feel as bad now. All right, good.
Regularly got banned. Majin Obama came. I used to just change my card name in the arcades here. That's a relatively new name, right? So I used to just change my card name to random shit like, I don't know, like I'd be Sexual Chocolate one week, this, Booty and Toes the next week, whatever, right? So I just changed Majin Obama one time. I entered a tournament and I beat someone I shouldn't have beaten in the tournament, and it was a big deal. And from then on, that's the thing, man. Have you met people in the community that try to change their name? You're like, dude, I am not calling you. Yeah, like
no one is calling Potter robust. No one is calling Potter robust.
Crack Fiend is tried to change his name 12 times, and everybody's like, "No, we're not calling you."
You are not crack. You are Crack Fiend for life, dude. Stop changing your goddamn name, bro.
Your name.
We are not we don't play that shit, dude. You are Crack Fiend.
So, are you happy? Are you happy
being on your lower back?
Are you happy being Majin Obama now?
Absolutely not, dude. That is one of the most challenging experiences.
It's actually ass. To be perfectly honest, it's ass.
When you're in real life situations and you have to like introduce yourself or something. Oh, this is Majin Obama. Like, bro, I can't say that shit with a straight face.
I tell people my name is Tupperware. It's definitely not worse than Tupperware, right?
I think it's
Tupperware though.
I mean, it's not as bad as Digital Devil 4GK, but it's bad.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Well, what about?
There was one year I was traveling I was in the airport with a bunch of JP players, and they're just like, I don't know, we got separated or something. They're just like shouting Obama in the airport. We're in the middle of America, and I'm like, oh, they mean me. I'm looking. There's a bunch of people just looking around. They're like, Obama. No, it's me.
Oh, yo, that's like out of a movie. That's amazing.
That's great.
Where did
2D Jazz. What's that
2D
about?
Jazz?
Mago used to be what 2D God,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2D Mago. What was that? Was his name?
2D God. Yeah. 2D God.
From New Orleans, from Louisiana. Yeah, Jazz, just 2D God. Whatever.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Just threw it on there. I just like
Okay.
2D.
That's
Awesome.
yeah.
There's not a lot of mystery, man.
All right.
Sometimes there's a lore. Sometimes there's a deep background.
Yeah, you have
Sometimes
no
it's
deep
just,
lore.
just
All right,
shitpost,
dude.
You know.
Hey, please to plug yourself. Where can people watch and hear you?
Twitch.tv/Majin Obama, YouTube, search Majin Obama, it'll come up. But shit, there's so many people doing so many cool things, man. Just whatever you're about, don't talk about it. Actually show up for it, actually show out for it. Because there's people
Amen.
making stuff for it probably. Just support whatever you think is fun, whatever you think is cool. Just go with it.
Amen. And if
Thanks,
you ever
dude.
want to find him, just walk around randomly and shout out Obama, and you'll find him.
Oh man.
Don't do that.
All right, man.
But thank you for coming on here.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Thanks for coming on, man.
anytime you want to come back on, let us know. We'll get you on here, and we'll get you talking.
Yeah,
more,
just shoot
so.
me, man.
All right,
Shoot
sounds
me
good.
a message, man. Anytime. Y'all be
Have a
easy.
good day.
All
Good
right.
morning.
Later on me.
Oh man, dang, we
the-
probably could have
last
went for
time-
another like 15, 20 minutes. Dude.
I told you in the Discord. I was like, we should have let him talk. Let him do his thing.
The last Evo Japan I went to, he and I hung out, and obviously everybody hung out after Evo Japan. And anyway, I was blitzed, and I had to go pee in some bushes, or as you do. And
In Japan. Terrible idea, David. Go on.
And he was like checking up on me to make sure it was okay. So anyway, I go do that, and I come back, and I was like, "Hey man, thanks for like hanging out." I was like real drunk. And he was like, "Oh yeah, no problem, dude. You want it ready to go upstairs we're gonna go eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, I lost my phone." And he was like, "What do you mean you lost your phone?" I was like, "I dropped it in the bushes over there. Anyway, you want to go up and eat? You want to get out of here?" And he was like, "What are you talking about, David? Go grab your phone. It's over there." And I was like, I don't know, whatever. And he was like, "Go get your phone." And I was like, "Okay, you're right.
He also gave me shit because I think it was like after Evo Japan one time, I was trying to sleep at the hotel, and everybody was outside the hotel. And this is like at 3 a.m. at night. And if you know anything about Japan, like it's just dead quiet. And like that group was talking so loud, and they were making I could hear them from my window, and I could recognize it was FGC voices. And I was like, oh man. So I actually went downstairs and was like, hey guys, you're being kind of loud and da-da-da-da. And Obama just went in on me, dude. He's like, we're being loud, huh? Ah! And I was like, okay, you know what? I tried.
All right, thanks a lot to him again for coming on. So let's move on to the next one, the 5-5 matchup, where we have you, the viewer, pick the topic that we're going to talk about as suggested also by you, the viewer. Let's bring up the questions. James will get the poll going, but whilst he does, I will read to you the questions. Number 1, you accidentally bump into an old man at the store. Ooh, backstory. They reveal they are a wizard and curse you, and now you are the director of the next Smash.
The wizard, Harry.
Will be cursed for life if it doesn't sell better than at least Brawl. What is your design strategy for a new Smash? Number 2, do FGC players downplay the importance of strong single-player content? Is the constant push for competition and balance making developers favor it over single-player content development? Number 3, why do we keep asking for features in games, but when a game comes out with said feature, we don't show support for the features we asked for? Do you think this dissuades developers, e.g. rollback, frame data in training mode, good lobbies, etc.? Number 4, do you think a fighting game where most of the cast is oppressive or overbearing is more fun than a game where nobody is OP but the power levels are very lukewarm and fair? And would you describe Strive as the former? That's it. We got 4 of them. Also,
These
we're
are
only gonna.
all good questions.
They
dude.
are, I agree. And we're only going to do one of them because we had a lot of game news to talk about today, and we're trying to keep on.
Yeah, exclamation mark 1, 2, 3, or 4 are the options that you have. If you are a subscriber, you can vote more than once. Put in your votes in the chat. And we'll see. Like I said, I will just keep an eye on the trends over here and just basically call it out as soon as one of them seems like it's taking a substantial lead, which is not happening. Okay. One of them is starting to jump out a little bit. We have 28 votes, 29 votes. Let's get.
And again,
those
we're only
votes
picking one.
Yeah, and I'm obviously not going to call it right away because I'll give a warning because I know there's a lot of delay. But we are really, really close, as you can see right there. We have a 32%, a 26%, and a 25% there. So I will call it in about 30 seconds. So get your vote in right now. So 30. Well, I'm not going to count anyway.
Do it, coward.
29, 28, 27,
I was kidding. Don't do it. It's too
25,
much.
24, 23,
Oh, no.
22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16,
Mind the
15,
gap.
14, 13, 12, 11. I almost skipped 11. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh God, 1. All right, I'm gonna let it go a little longer. There's a tie.
No.
There's a tie.
Oh, no.
It is definitely tied right now.
Oh no. Oh well, somebody's gonna cast a tiebreaker. As soon as it's different, as soon as it's separated, that one wins.
All right, closing the poll. The winner is number 3, barely. If you see,
Wow.
29% to 27%. Even 1 and 2 are tied right now at 21%. Again, these are all great questions. So we will do question number 3. Why do we keep asking for features in games? When a game comes out with a feature, we don't show support for the features we ask for.
I don't know what y'all are doing in the votes, but this is, in my view, not accurate. Do you guys think that this is a true prompt?
Not
Why do we
anymore.
Why do we keep asking for features in games, but when a game comes out with said feature, we don't show support we ask for? Is that right?
I think it is, actually.
Do you? Okay, that's good. Well,
Okay.
I very much do think that's true.
okay.
If you look at Street Fighter V and Tekken, they both over the years have finally started adding a frame data viewer and hitboxes. And as far as I know, Tekken is not getting hitboxes; they're just getting frame data. Street Fighter doesn't naturally have hitboxes shown.
No.
And it even goes beyond just like training mode stuff. There's things like the way lobbies work. Most games, like most major titles, have not been getting this stuff right. Sometimes they'll get 1 or 2 things right, but it takes a few patches. The games aren't being released like that. But if you look at a game like Them's Fighting Herds has everything. It has the best lobbies. It has frame data. It has hitbox viewers. It has punish windows. It has everything you could possibly want. It has replays. It has just tons of features.
Did
Anything
you say
you could
rollback
ask for.
or rollback? I don't know.
It has rollback. It has everything
KI
you could ask for.
KI, very similar, right? That game has hitboxes. It has rollback. It has musical menus. I mean,
and what I believe the reason that like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat to a certain extent don't release with these things is because there's no proof that those features that take a lot of time and effort to add into games sells more copies.
right.
If Tekken can sell 7 million copies without frame data, then why will we put it in our game? If Street Fighter has broken online play for a year and a half before you can actually just play the damn game, but it still ends up selling 4 or 5 million copies, why would there's no proof of a AAA title needing that stuff to sell big numbers. There's zero proof of that. It's all the indie devs and smaller game devs doing that stuff, which is great. I think it's awesome, and please keep doing that. But at the same time, I feel like those guys are putting this stuff in their games just so they can try to compete with the big guys. I think that's the actual truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. I mean, honestly, Street Fighter V's training mode is honestly like one of the best training modes right now. Obviously, there's a lot of things missing.
But it didn't launch that way.
Right.
It didn't launch
But
that
here's
way.
the thing. as it kept getting added, as the features getting added, and like the stuff that gets added in there, there's not a lot of praise for it. You don't see a lot of effusive praise for that stuff. That's another thing. You don't see a lot of people being like, oh god, dude, Street Fighter, like shout outs to them, now I can test everything and see what the plus and minus are. That's really, really, really cool, right? And that's the thing, right? So some people in the chat say the praises in the sales numbers. That stuff, like Tuvo said, didn't affect the sales numbers of Street Fighter V. No, like the back of the box for Street Fighter V, if it even did come out with frame data in the game and all that stuff, that's not a bullet point on the back of the box.
Yeah, who the hell knows what that is, right? Only the 0.01% of us nerds that play the games competitively.
Right.
If you ask somebody who knows how to jump kick sweep what frame data is, they'll look at you like you're, an idiot.
MK11 is not going to say frame data built into the game.
Nope. More fatalities, more violence, guts everywhere. Get your Mortal Kombat.
I mean, they must have... For sure, they didn't spend whatever amount of money and time it took to put in actually good netcode in MKX because they thought it was fun. Like, somebody did the... What are you doing? You're getting MK
Someone
out?
said that MK11 did put it on there.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if it was on there at all, but
it's definitely not.
They clearly think that it's financially valuable. They're trying to make money.
Sure.
And so they spent all this time and money, not for no reason. I'm sure that they figured that stuff out. And they have done a super sick job, basically ever since MKXL. But even before that, when they were putting in frame data in like Injustice 1, putting in real one-player modes ever since MK9. Well, really even before that, but the games weren't competitive. They have been doing all of these things, and I for sure believe that it's part of why they always sell super well. That's definitely, in my view, part of this.
I mean,
you can actually play those video games online.
Dude,
of
people
course,
bought Mortal Kombat versus DC. If you put Mortal Kombat's name on something, it sells.
Yeah.
So the IP is probably the biggest single reason to buy something. That probably is true. But then on the margins, there's a lot of people who are like, well, I don't know if I can play that game online. Maybe I'm not going to play it.
Well,
that
okay.
Certainly has.
Let's remove rollback netcode from this conversation, because rollback netcode is by far the least true aspect of that question. Strive and Melty Blood are kind of proving that rollback netcode is you have it or your game dies. Like, I think that is pretty much a foregone conclusion. But
it is important.
For something like MKX and MK11, if they didn't put the frame data in the game would have sold exactly the same amount of copies. The one-player stuff is very important. It's one of the biggest things about those games. But without frame data, I think the game would have sold exactly the same amount of copies, in my opinion.
I think that they probably figure out how much they expect that to improve sales. And I think they've probably been doing that since Injustice. I mean, the people who make the video games themselves would probably love to have that stuff in anyway, but they're not often the decision makers on that. Those are business decisions. And some businessman is like, that's a good idea, do that. And probably not for no reason. I don't have data on that, but I just feel like that's not likely to be a flippant choice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having your game be playable online is a lot different from having a frame data and hitbox viewer.
Well, I'm talking about frame data as well. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that they spend the time and money on that and put out updates on that and make sure that the numbers are accurate and all that takes time and money. And it's not flippantly done.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I don't know what the stats are on that, but that seems like a good guess to me.
I mean,
16-bit. Go talk to Ed. Give us the details. We need to know. All right, we're the press. We're pressing.
Most of the people I know don't even turn on the frame data stuff in Street Fighter V.
But I mean, this is not the question. The question is, when we want features, do we support the games that have them? I think we do. I think that we do that. I think it's obviously correct that most people who play fighting games, who buy fighting games, aren't going to delve into the serious side of it. I wish they did, but that's like clearly always been the case.
No. We do. As the FTC,
this we do. Why do we keep asking for features in games? And then not support? We are. I think we are. I think we totally are.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think maybe James and I took the we as collective as in gamers, not as just FGC.
Oh, well, I mean, gamers...
the difference in view here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different question, of course. I think it probably is true that they are buying the games that have the features that they wanted anyway, but like it's just a different set of features probably. But for the FGC, I think that we do this. Yeah.
I mean, here, look, all you have to say are two things, right? Grand Blue Fantasy Versus and Samurai Showdown. Like their online just didn't work, and people don't really play them that much anymore, right? So we definitely are support. And the crazy thing though is that Grand Blue Fantasy Versus though had an amazing one-player stuff and had great tutorials and actually did have a great training mode. It's just literally the rollback kiboshed it, and so. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is a very, very interesting study because it is a game that has everything that we're talking about here. It has good data in training mode. It shows you whether you're negative or not. A lot of great options like Guilty Gear Strive, like the dummy reacting to this or that. The one player in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is robust as hell as far as I know. And, was that enough? Or was the rollback that much more potent of affecting the game's fate? So again, to me, it's rollback and gameplay are the obvious things, but I really don't think that the frame data stuff affects it much. And while us as the FGC do appreciate that stuff, I still don't even feel like it's talked about enough because like I said, when Street Fighter did add that frame data thing into the training mode, that was incredible. I still don't remember a lot of people talking about it when it happened. Like it was like, oh cool, they added this feature. You know what I mean? Like I don't
remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember people going crazy with it. So,
all right,
well, cool. We move on. We go on to the next one. Let's get back to the game news because again, there was a lot of it to talk about this week. Part of it, of course, King of Fighters, the 15th. There was at TGS, the Tokyo Game Show, a bunch of game footage. They revealed a couple of new characters. Not new, maybe one of them is new. Isla is new. K-Dash is also back in. And a lot of stuff that you can watch for game footage. Did you guys see it? What do you think?
Dude, I'm just going to say this right now. If either of you say that Isla does not look interesting, I'm going to be very mad. Because Isla is like one of the coolest fighting game characters that I think I've seen in recent history.
Okay, I feel like in my view that's a gigantic overstatement, but I do think she looks cool. I think she looks cool.
She looks cool. I don't know if she's one of the most interesting characters of all time ever.
Dude, do you see the animations that she has? Do you see the cool shit?
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, dude. A matter of fact, I can't because her SFX are in the way of everything. I can't tell what's going on. Dude. Like, maybe your animations are amazing, but I can't see them.
I think she looks cool. I mean, in general, with all the game right now, I think it looks fun and good. I think that they have significantly improved how the game looks. The one sore spot is definitely the visual effects on projectiles and stuff. That is, the fire is not good and is very prominent. Unfortunately, they've decided to combine those two things. But as far as the rest of the game goes, I think it looks really fun. The animations look good. Whatever, graphics fine. But I think the game looks fast and interesting. And
it looks like KOF.
I mean, but I think it looks like a particularly maybe interesting version. I haven't played super many KOF.
I meant that as a
I think it looks great.
KOF is fast and interesting. I think it's like a KOF game.
I'm definitely excited to try the game out after having seen more of it at TGS. I really like the look of the game's gameplay. I think that looks really cool.
I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, like, just, we finally got a lot of information, and that's, like, really cool. It's like, now we know how the max mode works. We know how specials work and how the super drains and everything like that. And shout outs to them for getting, 4 KOF experts to put on the little exhibition to play the matches, and they made the game look really cool. Like when you go and watch the show floor footage from people testing things out, people who don't necessarily know the game looked kind of slow, but
Yeah, I agree,
thankfully they had that exhibition, because that exhibition made the game look really fast, right? We got to see, remember when MVC3 came out, we're like, man, the damage is so low you can't kill anybody in this game. You know, like it was cool that they got the experts to play the game, and I was really happy about that. And
definitely, yeah. Yep, Isla is the girl from Jet Set Radio. Exactly right.
Dude, Splatoon girl, dude.
I think she looks cool. Yeah.
Dude, when she
her
does
design is definitely cool.
When she does the
cool,
super, and she dive kicks you, the hands stop her because she has so much momentum. They push her back, and after she stands up, they dust her off. When she double jumps, the hands turn into a platform that she jumps off of it. The dive kick moves in the air. The hands grab her and throw her. And like the whole time,
I didn't notice those things. You're right. That is cool.
And she fights with her hands in her pockets the entire time, and the hands are doing the like they have and she's just sitting there with her hands in her pocket, and the hands are doing all the cool poses.
That's cool.
When she throws you, the hands grab the character and pick him up, and that's how she kicks him when she throws you. Because the hands actually are throwing you, and she kicks you while they hold it in the air. Dude, it's so cool, dude. Like, she's actually really sick. I actually think she's really sick. I think she's the best looking character in the game so far. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah.
All right.
I think K-Dash looks cool. I mean, he looks like K-Dash to me, but he looks good. Yeah. My only gripe graphically about the game is how the projectiles look. Other than that, I think it looks like a fine game, like, for sure.
When Iori
also the announcer is excellent. I really like the announcer clips that they had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, did you not notice? I really like some of the clips that they have the announcer doing.
Oh, cool. No, dude, like when Iori hits you with, I think it's Iori, when he hits you with the super and you catch on fire. Like, honestly, it's like one of the worst looking things. Like,
I'm with you. But they also have him having like a kind of like funky voice track during that moment that actually sounds really cool. Yeah. So, you know, pluses and minuses, I guess. But what did you think about the gameplay? I mean, obviously now we know a lot more about it.
It's really interesting because right now one of the things is the Shatter Strike. So KOF 14 was max mode the game. Everybody was doing light max mode into big old combo. And it was really cool because when they were interviewing Oda and stuff, he was saying that. He was like, KOF 14's problem was that everyone was just confirming light into max mode, and so much stuff was hidden behind there. And it was really cool to hear him address a lot of those things and talk about that. But right now, it feels like Shatter Strike might just be the next, because it costs a bar, but if it hits, you gain half a bar back. And so, like, you get this free crumple, so everyone's just going to be confirming into Shatter Strikes all day. Okay. Now, the question is, what's the scaling, etc.? It's very clear that Shatter Strike adds scaling to the game, but I don't know if it's enough scaling just yet. But as with KOF has always done this. Last character, most meter, right? Because you start with 3 bars, next character 4, next character 5. Everyone's showing all these clips of everybody dying with 100% damage. But KOF has been doing that since
that's not
forever, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, how the balance of the meter of the resource management. That's what's interesting to me, right? Or questioned. That's one of the biggest questions, in my opinion, is how Shatter Strike, is Shatter Strike, because like the reason why in Focus Attack in Street Fighter 4 they created armor moves is because they didn't want Focus Attack to blow up Honda Headbutt, right? Like you just Honda Headbutt, you just Focus Attack and it dies. So they were like, all right, let's give everybody armor breakers so that these moves can't be Focus Attacked, right? It's very clear that's how that came up. Reversals were automatically armor breakers, remember? So what's going to stop you from Shatter Striking like every freaking thing? I saw Athena do her dive ball thing from the air, and it was like absorb, pow! Like, what's going to stop Shatter Strike from being overpowered? That's the question right now. So
it's a good question. People in the chat are talking about why it's K dash and not K apostrophe. I mean, I don't know the backstory as to why Japan pronounces the apostrophe as dash, but it's been like that forever.
Remember, that's what Champion Edition was. When you look at the title screen of Champion Edition, it says Street Fighter 2 and there's an apostrophe. And in Japan, it was called Street Fighter 2 Dash.
Right.
In America, we called it Champion Edition. So
I don't know the backstory there, but that is in fact the case. Would it be cool if he was called Capostrophe? It would be pretty funny, but he's not. He's not.
Capostrophe? No, it's all about K-at. There's an artist who draws a K as a cat, and it's K apostrophe A-T, and it's adorable. If you have a chance, look up K-at. It's
Nothing Excess is saying that is really unsafe, what you were talking about before.
Right, so the Shatter Strike is definitely like super punishable on block. But if you see, what's the startup? So if you see Athena jump and start diving, can you just react? And that's a guaranteed hit. Obviously, you're not going to fish with it, but like there are moves where people are coming at you from full screen and stuff like that. So that's the question. So
I mean, it's a really fast game. I don't know how often that's going to come up.
Right.
I guess
That's the idea. That's the idea right there. Maybe short hop into load to beat it up or something like that. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. Anyway, I mean, I've been honest about my opinion about this game. Initially, it was not high, and as it's been going on, it's been raising and raising. And now, after having seen footage from good players at TGS, I think it looks really sick. So I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Honestly, the game, I was already kind of excited for it. Obviously, it doesn't help that I live with Olaf, who's just like constantly talking about it and just like pump KOF into my veins, But even, having been in this position, the game, while moving, I think looks really good. Like Majin Obama was saying, it pops. I'm glad the game is colorful. It was always one of the reasons why I liked Virtua Fighter more than I liked Tekken, because Tekken was always black and red and gray and black and red and gray, and Virtua Fighter had these super bright green, blue sky backgrounds and stuff like that. So, I did like the way the game kind of popped graphically. So,
our supposed stopping time is at 8 p.m. Pacific, which is in 7 minutes. So
oh shit! Okay, all right.
Yeah, we went way over with Obama.
We definitely did. It was a fun conversation, but it lasted quite a while.
All right, Twitch boosting.
Briefly mention this. So Twitch is experimenting with a feature that James doesn't like, and I guess neither does Tupperware. Also, neither does David. In which you can pay to get a streamer's stream more noticed on Twitch in visible areas or in recommendations. Conceivably, the streamer themselves could pay for other people to do that so that they could just pump their own stream effectively. And it's, Twitch is really bad for discovery. That's been a problem on the website forever. And now there's a discovery feature. By the way, this has existed, but it's just with channel points. Now they're going to be making that, at least experimentally, paid. So pay to get recognized. It just sounds like a real slimy proposition.
Look, I said it.
I mean, it is.
It sucks. I said it in a tweet. The rich get richer. That's how Twitch works, right?
Yeah.
The more subs you get, the more emotes you get that people want to sub for.
Yeah.
The more subs you get, the better cut you get off of the subs. The more subs you get, the more chances they'll put you on the front page, and the more subs you get, the more money you'll have to be able to spend to boost your channel. Honestly, they need to reward people for streaming. I said this on Twitch. They need to actually reward people. And my number, the way that I worked it out in my head, and I'm trying to say this as fast as possible, 6 hours a day max. But if you stream, the amount of time you streamed unlocks emotes. The amount of time you stream gives you the ability to, fight for a better cut, for better promotion and stuff like that. That rewards consistency with streamers. Limiting it to 6 hours a day prevents people from killing themselves, and people can stream optimally every single day. You need to start rewarding people for actually streaming. That's what needs to happen.
I think they're pretty clear about wanting this to be big top heavy, like hero worship kind of business.
Of course.
And what is a bummer obviously about this as well is that it's paying Twitch, not paying the person who's actually streaming.
Yep.
I mean, it's like
100% of the money goes to Twitch.
So
even if the booth, even if you're a weirdo and you want to spend $100 for your favorite streamer to get more recognition on Twitch when they probably already have plenty.
Yeah.
Twitch gets all the money. You're not even actually necessarily helping the streamer.
Yeah, who knows what that's going to lead to?
There's no proof that you're helping the streamer out. Just Twitch is like, yep, give us more. We love it. Give us more money. We want it.
You donate $100 to a streamer to promote them, use this promote feature, it could result in zero earned. It could result in zero earned.
Do not give Twitch your money.
Look, this is an experiment right now. If you have feelings on this one way or the other, maybe consider letting Twitch know about that. And
I did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, we move on to extremely briefly talk about the CPT Central America West #2, which was won by Kusanagi, maybe the best player in Mexico. He's been second place at like 4 CPTs previously. Congratulations to him. He won with Sakura and Kage. That was very cool. I did commentary for that, and it was fun, and good job to him. Rinja and I had a good time. And then we very briefly talk about ECT The Pit. Dude, honestly, the folks at ECT are doing such cool things. They had so many fun skits. They had hilarious like little ad briefs with Yipes and Chris Matrix just doing like real funny stuff. They have amazing merch. If you guys didn't check that out, it's probably gone on. I don't know, but it's probably gone at this point. It's so cool.
Yeah, probably.
And they had tournaments. So IDOM won the Street Fighter V Invitational, and oh no, I didn't bring up who won the Strive one, but I'm about to find out in like 10 seconds, assuming that
Strive one also had a last chance qualifier.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tempest NYC, congratulations, getting first place.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, again though, super cool. That was an in-person event as well. They had people who were buying spectator passes to that in New York, which was vaccine required. So yeah, congrats. It's super cool. I want to also mention that they announced that ECT is returning in person September 2nd through 4th, 2022 in Stamford, Connecticut.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Please, I really hope that in 11 months we could just do it. But, I mean, who knows?
Asterisk, man. And Willie P in the chat does say that they still have some more merch left. So if you like the skits,
Frosties is happening, CEO is happening, tournaments are coming back, guys. We just have to mask up.
No, you're right. I think you're right. One tournament that's not coming back right now, and the next one here is that unfortunately the Evo Showcase has been canceled. This was the result. This was obviously the result of COVID. This was supposed to be an event where the winners of each of the various Evo regions in the various games were brought to Vegas to have the like super finals, however you want to think about that from before. Of course, Evo this year was all regionalized because it was all online. Well, in an event that is almost entirely going to be international players, and COVID not going great right now, not just here but in many other countries too. Just not a good call. If you have a primarily local event like ECT, the Pit we were just talking about, at this point, that can make sense. We have been talking about that. A primarily international event is just probably still not a good call for.
I would imagine travel issues were a big part of the problem.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were.
For sure.
So definitely a bummer, but also COVID, man. What are you gonna do? I mean, all right. And then just a couple of things for upcoming. The Street Fighter League in general, this next season is starting. I think today is Japan, and then Thursday is October 7th. So for the US version, check that out. CPT North America West #2 is this coming weekend, and also the Classic Tetris World Championship this weekend.
James?
Well, no. So it's the qualifiers was this past weekend, and then there's going to be a bunch of the separate pools for the next few weekends, and then the grand finals are going to be later on in November. Basically, the top.
James,
8.
you have something to tell us, James?
What?
I'm asking. Do you have something to? Are you commentating this?
I mean, I'll be
Like,
commentating some of one or two of the weekends, and then I'll be, hopefully I'll be doing the top 8 in November. Let's just put it that way. So,
Is
but
that going
it's
to be on ESPN again?
dude. I mean, I hope that'd be awesome. But
Would be
I mean,
awesome.
it's already ridiculous. It's already stupid. Like before. Like if you got a max out or two, like you passed the qualifier rounds, right? The number 1 player, which is the champion from last year, and the second place player from last year, I think it's Dog and Andy right now. They had 12 max outs each in the 2-hour time that they had to play. They had 12 max outs. And the new technique is also rearing its head as well as one of the first qualifiers, Hydrant. The rolling technique.
There you go, rolling, wobble, rolling, whatever.
Yeah, Hydrant is one of the best rollers, and he started his run with 4 in a row max outs. Like he was like one of the first qualifiers, and he got max outs like 4 times in a row. Like it's ridiculous right now. Like it's
Very cool.
Again, I can go on my rant about changing controller requirements, but let's just
For another time, but very, very cool. And then let's briefly get to the mailbag.
All right, mailbag.
We only had a few, so not going to be super long.
All right, where are the mailbag questions over here? Okay, let's do this. All right, and the first question is from Stephanie Brownback via Twitter. What is a compliment someone gave you that you still think about? I mean, the crazy thing about it is, knowing who I am, I probably don't remember most compliments. Paul Brown Max Out is getting 999999 on Nest Tetris. And again, don't think of Nest Tetris as all the modern Tetrises. Getting 999999 is ridiculously
What's
hard.
your favorite compliment, Brock?
So one time, Keats' wife, Anna, told me that my smile lights up a room. And then several years later, I mean, that was really nice to say at the time. And then several years later, I'm dating this girl from Scotland. And the first time she meets me in person, like she flew out to meet me in person, she said the same thing. So that compounded, and I was like, wow, that must be true. I must actually light up rooms with my smile. So yeah, that's one thing that stuck with me forever.
That's very nice. I think I'm the opposite of James on this.
You have too many compliments.
Everyone loves me.
Let's see. One that I think is more maybe important than the others is that the lead managing partner at a major law firm that specifically handles game dev and digital entertainment and stuff said that he thinks I'm really brilliant, and that meant more to me than all the other times people have called me brilliant.
I remember one time I held a door open for an older lady, and as she walked through, she was way back there, and I just waited, and she walked by, and she was like, "Your mother raised you well," so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
But I think one of my favorite compliments was Alexei Pajitnov, the creator of Tetris, said that he liked my commentary. So
That's a good one.
That is cool for sure.
I think that was a pretty good one.
That's a great one.
I think that was a pretty good one.
Not bad.
Oh man.
I guess the one that actually sticks with me the longest, because this happened in high school. It was when my family and I were we went to
all right, we
Disney
got no
World.
time for this, David.
We went to Disney World and we were waiting in line, and there was a troop of cheerleaders there, and anyway, let's move on. It went great.
Jedi Dave via Discord asks, any single player games you like? I mean, my favorite game of all time is Tetris, which is a single player game. Second favorite game of all time is tied between Silent Hill 2 and Final Fantasy 6. There's a ton of single player games that I love. So
I couldn't finish the story. It's just too. It's weird.
To
Anyway.
2002, David.
I don't know if I need to be that self-congratulatory is the point of it. All right. And anyway, what's
the
your
group
answer?
of cheerleaders all tell you how cute you were, David? Is that just all it was? Is that what it was?
I mean, that's how it started. Anyway, go on, Brock.
I hope your wife knows that story.
I don't think
Anyways, right now I'm playing Dust Loop. I'm almost done with my first run through. Please don't spoil anything. I'm like literally at the end of the game, so that's been really dope. I'm extremely excited for Friday. I don't know if you guys know this, but Friday is Metroid Dread, and I'm not going to stream the game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be streaming Friday night, like just chomping at the bit to play Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
Because I'll play before I stream, but during my stream, all I'm thinking about is Dread. So Super Metroid is actually one of my favorite games of all time. Mega Man X is my favorite game of all time. So yeah, there's a lot of I play a lot of single player games even still.
I just played Skyward Sword recently. Yeah, I play single player games now and then. Not as often as I used to when I was younger and had a little bit more time. But yeah, I still feel like there are times when I want to take time off of competitive games. And when that happens, I find a single player game. And yeah, recently it was Zelda. But there's, a lot of different stuff over the years, of course. Okay, go on.
Next question is from Jiggly Purin via Twitter. Do you guys have any favorite axioms or words of wisdom on fighting game improvement? One of my friends and I use a lot is you can't dish out any L's until you have a collection to give.
That is such a cool quote. I really like that quote.
And then
That's
Foxy
really
Grandpa
good.
comes on our show and goes, "Yeah, I literally started playing fighting games and I was the best.
That's
My
true.
first tournament
Yeah.
win, second tournament win, third tournament win. Everybody sucks. I'm the best."
Yeah, that's true. There are geniuses out there, but that's a great one overall.
Yeah, I don't think I have anyone other than like hold that shit. Like there's like, I don't have any like great fighting game wisdom. Like fighting games are something so great, and if you know, you know. Like if you like fighting games, you get it. If you don't, whatever.
I mean, it's about fighting game
Sucks
improvement, though. It's fighting game improvement.
Yeah,
remember,
I
so-
really don't have like any like words of wisdom
Right.
beyond
I mean,
try real hard. I don't have an axiom. There's no old axiom that's gonna win to like I don't have any of that. Just try to win, be good, get good.
David?
Yeah, I don't have any either. I think all the advice that I have is longer than just a little pithy quote, but I really, really like how that one was
Exactly,
condensed.
Yeah. I mean, for
Yeah, that's
me,
a good.
the ones that I always kind of lean on, one is that fighting games are a two-player game, right? Like, because a lot of times the reason why people lose fighting games most of the time is because they play it as a one-player game. They're not thinking about what the opponent is trying to do, right? And the other one that I always like to talk about is if there is an answer to a mix-up in a fighting game, then it's not a mix-up. Basically, because people ask me that question all the time, how do I get out of this mix-up? And I was like, if I had an answer, it's not a mix-up. The reason why fighting games work is because there's no single answer. That it is that A beats B, beats C, beats A, that kind of thing. The RPS. It has to have an RPS, otherwise it doesn't work as a fighting game. So as long as you understand those concepts right there, that you're always playing against someone else and they're always trying to outsmart you, I think that that's actually really, really important.
All right.
Okay, and then the last question here. Last question here. We have from Kuruin MK via Twitter. Why do lawyer commercials always come in pairs? Call the law offices of X name and Y name.
They don't. Some law firms just have one person. Like I'm sure you've heard. God, who's that guy? Larry H. Parker. I'll fight for you. The law offices of Larry H. Parker. You've seen that for sure. If you're in the U.S. anyway.
Of course.
And as far as other law firms go, they're usually partnerships, or at least partnerships, if not bigger than that, because it's easier to have a bigger business that's more likely to be advertising if you have more people involved. Probably. I mean, that just makes sense to me.
I was gonna say, yeah, it probably costs less overhead to have partners. You're splitting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, it's a lot easier to be working with people than to not be working with people. As somebody who doesn't work with people, I can absolutely tell you that it would be a lot easier if I had other people.
I want coworkers.
It would be a lot easier in a lot of ways, and I'd be able to get more done, and I'd be able to have like the time to advertise as well as do the other stuff that I do. It's just, the bigger the business is, the more likely you are to see the ads for it.
If David and I were doing the Tuesday show by ourselves, it would have lasted about a year. It's the best way to put it. But you know, for the first 9 years, because you have 2 people working on it, it somehow lasted 9 years. So.
How come I don't work with someone else? I don't have a great reason for that. It's just kind of how it's worked out. I'm in the process of maybe trying not to do that anymore. But yeah, that's how I've done it.
All right, fine, David. I'll be your law partner.
All right, buddy. All you got to do, I'll see you in 6 years when you've
Brandon Brockman
gone to
Listen,
law
man,
school.
If people got fake Vax cards, I can get a fake diploma, okay? That's not hard, all right? We can Mike Ross this up.
You actually don't need to get a law diploma, a JD. You can actually just pass the bar in most states, and also, what is it called? Work for another lawyer at the same time. An apprenticeship is what it's called. You can still do that. It's just rare. All right, that's it. Thanks for asking all those questions in the mailbag. Thanks for having the Tuesday show and watching us, and good job to everybody involved. Thanks a lot to Majin Obama for coming on. It's always fun to talk.
Yep. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And again, let us know which character you feel like was missing from Smash, like that you would put in objectively, not subjectively, because then I would put in Dirk the Daring. So objectively.